Welcome everybody to the Genesis Mindset. Today's another Atropa Movement episode. So today we're taking back the teddy bears. So the agenda for today is declaring in teddy bears we will always trust. So we're also going to take a look at Treasury Bill and reserve tear. So let's just kick it straight off. So we got Sommi, we got Daz. Let's get into it. I know Sommi's got a lot to share at the start. What's going on, boys?
Welcome, friends. Awesome. Hope everybody has doing well. For some general context, friends. So crypto, that's funny now. I can use my lovely screen now just to show you what's going on. It's cool, right? We now have seen the monthly candle for Bitcoin is now green again, which is beautiful. And on top of this, a lot of people have sold. And on like piling right concurrently to all these, we've had 5 red monthly candles for Ethereum. I want to show you how bad this has been, friends, so far, what we've sat through. We didn't even get 5 red candles in a row in our actual bear market for Ethereum. So what we're looking at right here is literally like all the narratives I'm seeing now, all the Fugazi I'm seeing. I know they're like, it hurts us in the heart. We know the stories, we know the leaders. There's an infinite minting bug. This guy may have dumped, and they do dump and they bridge out. It looks like they're all really strong and powerful, but 5 red monthly candles, man. Whenever you get something like that, I've been here, man. When you see something like that, it's only the depths of despair. Okay, it's a polar opposite of 5 green monthly candles, which is kind of funny. I can actually show you as well what happened in our previous bull markets. We had 5 green monthly candles, and that actually marked the tops. Have a check this out, right? So look at this. Even in 2021, we had 5 green monthly candles. That was literally the top here. This was actually DeFi season. We had 5 green monthly candles. And if we go back to 2017, we had 6 green monthly candles. It was literally the top of ETH BTC here. So that's the general context of where we are. So everything we're seeing now, if you believe, so we're going to speak about Atropa and Peter and everything else, right? If you believe that it's not over and you like to buy low and you want to keep on believing, history's on your side. Because whenever there were 5 red monthly candles, if you just as a mild amount of community members still around, it means it's not over. Usually, okay, that for most stuff out here, you know. And even in the context of, let's say, talking about PDI, we had the most vicious of vicious shakeouts. I mean, like it's kind of funny, right? You had literally Richard Hart tweeting, "Stop buying PDI here," and it's up 200%. So it's just to think about stuff like this, okay? So we're not just focusing on PDI. I've got Atropa ecosystem. I've got a lot of things coming out here. I've now shown you, right? If you've survived through this, we've all survived through. Man, this is apocalyptic, biblical. This is insane, okay? And the fact that we're still standing everywhere, pretty much everybody deserves a pat on the back. You know, you're hearing all these like Trump tariffs and all these other macro words out here, but it is what it is. The universe has thrown this upon us. We didn't expect it to get this. Maybe it all works out in the end, friends. Maybe we just couldn't peak out this cycle this year. Maybe we got to go into next year, right? What do you boys think? So what we'll do is I'll just quickly shave on, maybe to get us started as well. We'll look at Atropa. Just looking at Atropa's ecosystem. Okay, this is Atropa right here. So what is this? The Atropa PLS ratio as well. So man, it's on a vicious 88, 89%. And for context, for everyone out here, okay, I want to show you something, okay, because it's pretty much 2 schools of thought. All right, if we go to the PDI price chart, all right, let me go down here, friends, just show you how weird this was. Okay, so firstly, let's actually go back in January and Feb. All right, so in this period of time, first thing, someone uses the EHEX origin address to stake EHEX and lower the yield and protect the price. So they do that here. Immediately after, they do it for PHEX. Okay. Shortly after that, incentive token yield basically goes near 0. You see these events? Event 1, event 2, event 3. Right here, Maria says, my friend Sommi is a murderer from Kentucky. He's going to assassinate BitBoy. That's what Maria effectively says. And then we get the classic PDI FUD. He says something's wrong with PDI. All right. Down here we have 33 tweets from Richard Hart about PDI. Okay. So look, I'm seeing all these. I'm like, weird, really weird. I'm seeing all these. And I'm trying to like look at them like, hey man, I don't think they're all random. I'd see this like a build-up over time, right? It's almost like, friends, Donald Trump's planned assassination, right? You know how they scaled up their attacks on him. They went from the legal route, then another legal route, then they tried to make him sick, then they tried to like get him like banned, and the girl allegations came out. They ramp it up, and what did it end with? It ended with somebody getting a gun from Toys R Us, climbing up a ladder, and squirting a water pistol towards him. You see how like the escalation? So if you think that's all random, that's okay. Okay, I don't think that's random. Like, for example, that kid's house, the cops went and checked it. His whole house was clean, spotless. Like, bro, who cleans their spoons and their forks in the kitchen when they're about to go on a death wish? You know what I mean? So if you see all these events as random, then you're probably just going to walk away from this. You say, hey, Atropa ecosystem and everything else, maybe it's all over, right? Personally, me, Daz, Stevie, right, I don't see it as random. I think it's built up to something like towards that. What do you guys think? After seeing all this, where we are right now, because that's where we are right now, friends. I'd love to hear from Stevie and Dazzy. Let's go.
So yeah, I think the past week or two, you've seen Maria ramping up on pumping the coins, and especially T-Bill. I don't know if you've seen that. Also, it's Fed as well, and then there's Federal. So there's three of them. So they all work with each other. I believe Stu's going to talk about that when he comes on, about that a bit more detail, because he knows more about that. But he's basically been pumping T-Bill and then Fed. Basically, he wants them to get 1-to-1 together, I believe. And I believe they want to get it 1-to-1 with PDI at some point, but I don't know how long that's going to take. But yeah, I can see he's ramping it up really quickly. He's got rid of all the big influencers that are just poison to our community. That's what I think he wanted to do, is get rid of them. That's why he did the FUD. But now they're gone, he's ramping it up, and I can see what he's doing, the ecosystem that he's building. Also, he's done new LG pools with USDT, and also there's one actually of PDI as well. He done on the 5th of April. So I think that's around about £17,000 only, or dollars, should I say. And then USDT is about 150k, but I think he wants to get up, I think a million or something. I can't remember. I haven't got them details in front of me, but I'll try and find them. But yeah, I think it's going to be really, really exciting times in the next couple of weeks. So we're going to see things change. We're going to see PDI pump. I think it'd be a bit of a roller coaster, to be fair. Once it gets to joy, it's not going to be all smooth sailing. I think there's going to be a bit of a rocky ride. So we've just got to be patient, because I believe it all connects with PDI as well. So they link together closely. But yeah, it's an exciting time. And Teddy Bear as well. That's going to back up. Not like the fake teddy bear that's out there at the moment. Naming no names who's got that. It's a bit of a fraud scammer one, really. And then the good PDI, we don't talk about that. But yeah, that's my view. What about you, Steve?
So can we also great comments as well, just so everyone knows. So something interesting, okay? There's a lot of tickers with DAI on them. So what makes them special, right? The PDI that ends in 1D0F. So one PDI, D for dong, 0 for 0 amounts of soy, and F for friendship. PDI that ends in 1D0F, that contract address, that I think that's the only one that the MakerDAO protocol on Pulse Chain actually accepts if an auction is held to get the PMaker tokens. Okay, it only accepts this. It doesn't accept the pump tires JPEG. It doesn't accept Matty Allen sacrifice PDI. It only accepts these. So if the story is playing out, that's, I guess, what the next narrative part would be. Also, I hope you're all listening. When Daz said, when we're talking about Maria and the actions, the price is really low for everything. But what you're basically seeing is, you ever watch those movies where you think the bad guy is dead or the good guy is dead, and they like zoom into the body and then like their finger twitches? it's like showing, whoa, there's a pulse there. What comes next? Well, just imagine that movie. That's exactly what we've seen. You've seen Maria dumps, Bridges out. Richard does all these tweets on his Twitter account. Even though his Twitter says, I don't use Twitter. So he uses all these. It looks dead. Okay, it looks dead from the words, yeah? But you go and check the actions on chain and you're like, that does not look like the actions of someone who's abandoned. It doesn't, okay? That's why, by the way, if you poll people, you check the market caps, 94% of people thinks it's over, 6% don't. Okay, so like I use all these analogies. Like for example, like you go to someone's house and someone's in the fridge, right? And they've left with some food, right? But the owner of the house is watching this person in the fridge. Do you think that owner was watching the person in the fridge raid their fridge? Do you think that person's a thief, or do you think maybe they know the person, right? So you're just trying to use these analogies because not everyone is really technical. But ultimately, at the end of the day, like people can talk. This is the price chart. It's just, this is PDI just gliding up over time. It has now done its fourth big wave down. And what I'll actually show you as well is this is the PDI pulse ratio. Like this thing is absolutely bonkers, dude. This is literally just showing you, okay, this is only one guy in crypto, by the way, can do something like this, okay? This is it going down. See these circles as well? This is, it's been here before. 1, 2, 3, 4 amounts of FUD. So that's where it comes down to. And like for everyone at home, right? Everyone always asks, man, why? Why did I have to get to this? Why to get to this? Look, we don't know why. We'll never know why because it's never been done before. It's a first cycle unicorn, the definition, right? It's kind of like, like Satoshi left Bitcoin in 2011. Bitcoin was 60 cents, okay? Richard Hart and DaVinci J15 bought Bitcoin at $32. It goes down to $1.50, okay? Now imagine they've just told their friends and family, well, I bought this thing on the internet. I don't know what the hell it is. It's never even had a Bitcoin halvening yet. I don't even know how the code works. They'd be saying to him, dude, well, why did you buy something where the founder's gone? Are you stupid? Why did you put DaVinci J15 put 100 grand in? Richard Hart put 20K in, okay? So just showing you these types of uncertainty and people to hold your hand. They're not there in these first cycle unicorn stuff. There's literally nothing. The Dogecoin founder sold all his Doge in 2015. Then it did a 4,000x above that. Can you believe that as well? So, But here's the thing. Of course, you got to be careful in crypto. You can't just anchor to every unicorn and say, well, it worked for them. It's going to work for us. So we don't have that. But if it was working out, what would you want to see, by the way? If it was working, it's exactly what Daz spoke about. You're seeing on-chain movements. You're seeing benevolence there. You're seeing things. It just doesn't make sense, bro. Like when you have $100 million, why do you sell for like a couple $100K? Like if you're trying to build a decentralized stablecoin, this is the story that would have to play out. But I also have some extra things where I think maybe because Ethereum, maybe it's not going to fulfill $20,000 this cycle. Maybe it's only 10. Maybe the Pulse Chain pioneers don't want to rely on Ethereum hitting 20K. Maybe they're like, you know what? I don't want. That's how I'm interpreting it. Okay, I'm allowed to interpret it. That's why I'm still long and I bought more. Okay, so I see them downgrading their Ethereum chart price target for the cycle. And by the way, let me show you something. It's no coincidence that, friends, when did the FUD start? It started in March. Look at it. Look at it. Ethereum was on its fourth red monthly candle. It 1, 2, 3. Here's March. Okay, you know, this has never happened before in a bull market. Friends, let me tell you something. If you go back to Ethereum, I just want to show you how cucked we got with this. Ethereum, literally, it's never, look what it did in 2019. 2 red monthly candles. 2 red monthly candles. 1. This is zombie virus. 1. And it literally had the big move up. We literally, what we've had here, when we had 4 red monthly candles, I feel like whoever's in control, who needs this to play out, because there's 170,000 ETH sitting in the origin address sacrifice wallet. I'm looking at it. I'm like, man, it feels like someone's long ETH and they're like, damn, why don't you send more postcards? Ethereum, Vitalik, why don't you care more about users? You got to market to them. By the way, Richard Hart was tweeting at him. Friends, do you think it's also a coincidence? You were here, man, every single day. Were you not watching Richard Hart tweet to Ethereum and Vitalik while Ethereum's going down? What was he saying? Send postcards, bro. Go out, advertise to them. Tell them you're better. Tell them you're better. Go tax the layer 2s. Stop getting cucked. Stop getting cucked. Richard was literally tweeting at him 24/7. Then when he's basically realized, I guess, that's what I'm thinking, okay? Someone out there, the Pulse Chain pioneers have realized, crap, there's actually a lot of soy in their blood. We have to go to plan B. What's plan B? This is how I'm interpreting it. I'm allowed to do it. Plan B is, okay, there's not enough ETH valuation rise to complete the prophecy. We need to get more supply into strong hands and we got to get the liquidity thinner. Is it a coincidence? In March, the guy who controls Richard Hart's Twitter did 33 tweets, literally telling everybody there's a Vietnamese kid. By the way, you know what's funny about the Vietnamese kid as well? The Vietnamese kid's video was in January. It was basically almost like they could see, crap, Ethereum is just not doing what we thought it would do last time, right? And then it's timed with like EHEX OA, PHEX OA, incentive token yield cut. And then the tweets literally say, hey, there's a Vietnamese kid with his big fat dong out here. You're going to have to like pull all your liquidity. So I'm seeing these series of things happen and I'm putting them on the chart. I'm like, dude, I don't think that's coincidence. One after the other. Some people do think it's coincidence, but that's okay. I think there's 95% of people on one side is actually true. There's 5% who are long. That's why the price is so low. So that's this whole discussion. We're just showing on the other side. We go, okay, it looks dead. It looks dead. It feels dead to everybody else. But if you check on chain, bro, the arms are twitching. It's like the movie director zooming in and saying it's not actually over. Okay, it's not actually over. The bodies are twitching. Maria, this Treasury Bill, he's thrown away keys. He's done stuff out here. Okay, so but other people are going to launch their coins and do everything else out here. Welcome to everyone else as well. So I want to send it around, friends. Hope that now you all got context for what's going on. I'd love to hear everyone's thoughts. Stevie, what do you think about this? And like Maria continuing this and like, you know, even before we go, friends, I just want to let you all know, okay, if PDI gets back to this price here, okay, 0.005, you have now recovered Richard Hart's FUD, okay? 0.005. You have now recovered Richard Hart's FUD. Up here's Maria's FUD. Okay, so 0.005, so half a cent. You get back there, it's literally what's happened. Weak hands sold, strong hands buy. Richard Hart's Twitter has said to stop buying, but the price is the same. So you got to think about what does that mean price action wise? Does that mean something else is coming for the future? You don't even have to believe it gets to $1. You don't have to. We're just showing you this stuff happening in real time. So God bless everyone. Stevie, I'll love to hear from you and we'll go around.
Yeah, so first of all, good evening, Stu. It'll be evening for you, Stewie. So welcome, Stu. Stu also jumped in. So before we get into some of those things, I wanted to just give my overall thoughts on what I'm seeing. So the way that I'm seeing this is when Maria saw these actions by the 5996 exploiter, he took some serious action. So he went on stream, he started selling, showed the world. He got criticized for this. People went onto the stream, freaked out at him, called him all sorts of names, said he's a piece of shit, scammer, all of this stuff. Now, if I look at the Atropa ecosystem with Pulse Chain, there's always been like a harmony between the two. I'm also trying to think of the Atropa ecosystem as a living organism. People would often say at the start, oh, it just sucks in liquidity, and that's all it does. And I didn't really believe it because that seemed like a negative connotation. But I've been thinking about it in the context of a living organism, something that feeds on the liquidity and then feeds out liquidity. So it's like this thing that's interacting with the whole of Pulse Chain. So just some very, very quick charts. Obviously, with PDI, everything got wrecked. So we have Pulse Chain here. We had this trend which it broke out of. This is Pulse Chain to Atropa, downtrending. Now it's really broken out of this. So there's all this in the Atropa ecosystem.
So can you zoom in as well, Stevie? Zoom in to see your green circle on Pulse Day. Yeah, zoom in. Go down to a daily chart as well, 1 day.
So it's probably not as it looks a lot.
No, I want to show everyone.
Okay.
Maybe make it larger. This is the spookiest thing, friends. The PDI Atropa story front-runned Trump tariffs. Look at it. We went down. Pulse went down 40% on this. And then when the Trump tariffs actually happened, we only went down 20%, and now we're actually recovered. This is the spookiest thing about the Pulse Chain ecosystem. We are like this weird satellite remote viewing psychology weird thing. When we get FUD bad news, if you check in Pulse Chain, we all think it's game over because we're trash. You wait 10 to 15 days, there's a wider crypto market dump. Trump tariffs, S&P 500. It's the craziest thing ever. We always front run them. I'm hoping we front run them on the recovery as well. My only theory is because we have no leverage. So when someone is dumping, you don't have fake bidders with like 10x leverage who can absorb the buyers. So we get like an accurate viewing on the way down. But it's interesting, isn't it? Like, how did Richard Hart PDI stuff drop Pulse 40%? Because why did it dump? Because people like Eric Wall came out and they said, well, Richard, you're fat and you failed. That's what their opinion is. They go, well, you're fat and you failed. A Vietnamese kid has now run rampant on the chain. And I'm thinking, do you really think Richard let a Vietnamese kid ruin his dream? How did they mint PDI 2 days before launch? Like, I don't know what it is, sir. So, Stevie, please continue. But I want everyone in the audience, you get to see this weird stuff happening out here. Now we're actually recovering. It's like we're leading the Trump tariffs back. So please continue, sir.
I never thought of it like that, but that's a really cool perspective with leading the Trump tariff. So all I wanted to show is across the board, there's like this sickness in the Atropa ecosystem. Everything is now becoming an anomaly. So this is PDI to Atropa. So all the ratios have blown out of proportion. Everything, the DAI charts, the Atropa charts, it was like the most perfect chart you could possibly imagine. We were hoping that it would break out to the upside of this trending chart, but it broke to the downside. So it's literally like everybody's worst nightmare, you could say. The down Atropa, so everywhere you're seeing signs of anomalies within the Atropa ecosystem. So all these different ratios. So before we get into Teddy Bear, the way that I've been thinking about Treasury Bill, so Treasury Bill, what did he do? So it's a mintable token. Treasury Bill has, at the moment, there's like 15 or 7.5 million in liquidity. So obviously we know that Maria also holds like over 75% of the supply, so 3/4 of the supply. So what I was thinking Treasury Bill is like this beautiful defense mechanism, force field that goes around the whole Atropa ecosystem. So we had this disease, we had this sickness, which came in the form of PDI, which could basically rug the whole system because of the bonding with Atropa. Then you have Treasury Bill, which minted 1 trillion tokens in supply out of thin air, and it becomes like this force field backing. And then, so what have we seen? I've seen Maria now start to do all these pairs with like Treasury Bill and PDI, Treasury Bill with PUSDT, PUSDC. So it's almost like, he's now creating like this barrier in case an exploiter comes in and continues to suck liquidity out. With Treasury Bill, he can basically provide like a defense mechanism against it and counter that move. So as much as that person dumps, he could buy back in with Treasury Bill and then protect the whole ecosystem like this. That's just one way that I was thinking about, like, maybe that's what he's doing. And then he can't do it anymore. But yeah, it's kind of like this crazy idea that the Treasury Bill itself is meant to be like a protective mechanism to the whole Atropa ecosystem, but he's renounced it now, which totally sucks balls. So,
Stevie, sir, I'd like to ask a question as well. Can we? So for everyone at home, with the Atropa ecosystem, I think it's very important. So people in Atropa don't speak about this enough. So I'm going to tell you. So with Maria, it's like the story of how it started is it's spooky, biblical. It's a very strange story. So Maria bought 3 billion PDI. Okay. So we don't know, did he work with Richard Hart or did he just figure it out? Okay. Maybe he just figured it out because here's the thing, friends. Like if you could go back in time, like this is very important for everyone at home. Okay. Do you know the Hex developer, Kyle, the guy who actually coded Hex for Richard Hart? He only had like, I think 4 to 5 million Hex. All right. So this is, friends, I'll tell you, Richard Hart, he is a unicorn, and I mean it. Richard Hart had a developer. The guy coded Hex for him, okay? Richard didn't even tell him the plan, okay? This guy, so I think Dev Kyle, I think he sold for about $2 million at the top of Hex. At the top, I think it might have been 4 or 5 million Hex. Now, here's the thing. If you could go back in time, what would you do? I know what you'd do. You'd go back and you'd get 100 million Hex or 1 billion Hex. You just go accumulate it because you would know the big plan is to pump it. And so you'd become like a hassle on everyone. You dump. Richard didn't tell him. Can you believe it? He had his own developer. He never told him. The developer had to believe. And Dev Kyle had a bit, just in case something happens, right? So the strange thing with Maria and this Atropa ecosystem is he got a gargantuan size of PDI. Gargantuan. 3 freaking billion. Okay, you understand? That's like 15% supply. Do you want to know how much supply that's equivalent? That's equivalent to you owning like 10 billion hex. That's like you are like 7 times the size of God Whale. Okay, now Maria, he could have, this is options. He could have done one of two things. Okay, he could have just held the PDI and done nothing. He could have just done nothing. So this is the funny part. Okay, friends, remember, I'm indifferent to these. Okay, I'm reading it as it is. Maria, I could easily be saying Maria is scum. I could be saying that all day. Okay, but he had 3 billion PDI, dude. He could literally have just sat back and done nothing at that point. Nothing. He has 3 billion PDI. He could have just been like, you know how much 3 billion PDI was worth at the top 30 million? Okay, at 3 cents so far. He didn't do that though. What he did was he made the Atropa ecosystem. So what he's done is he's got 3 billion PDI. He made Atropa, he bonded it, and then he threw away the key. But you got to understand, friends, when he threw away the key, okay, he threw away the key back at a time when we were more hopeful for Ethereum. Okay, so if remember, this was happening, right? So this is all when Pulse Chain launches here. You see this? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give you an idea. Look what it looked like, friends. Like it looked like everything was going to go smack up to the top. Look at this. This is what it looked like. This is what the chart looked like. We going up here and it was like ready to go. We all thought, here we go. We're going to get a $7,000 to $10,000 ETH and everything's going to be great. Unfortunately, what we get is, look what happens next. Bang. Okay. Now, why is this important? It's because Maria, when he bonded the Atropa, okay, he threw away the keys, which means he does not have the ability to make the liquidity thinner. So if Maria, let's say Maria understands what the Pulse Chain pioneers, maybe Richard Hart related to him, maybe he understands the game. He's like, oh, we've got to get the weak hands out. The problem is that the hard part is he couldn't remove the bonding. PDI and Atropa are bonded. The only way for him to, I guess, send it in the direction of Richard Hart's Twitters was to dump it. That's the controversy because he literally had no other option, okay? It made the liquidity thinner. So instead of 3 billion, he like dumped it down, price goes down, and maybe benevolent whales accumulate. That's what the speculation is. The speculation is strong hands are accumulating. But you know what the funny part is? Friends, I've been in markets for a long time, but this is not an accident, dude. Okay, I'm just telling you, this price action is not an accident. What do you think is going to happen if we go back here, by the way? If we did get back to 0.5 cent, what do you think I'm going to be yelling about? Oh, Maria dumped, said it can't work. Richard Hart tweets 33 times. Vietnamese kid rampant dong going, but the price reversed. The price reversed. Are you not flipping out? So everything Stevie's been saying with his Atropa ecosystem, friends, I want you to see like the price reversed. How? How's it bad? The price is back. Must be that the Fugazi story was actually Fugazi the whole time. So, Stevie, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. So now that everyone, friends, you're at home, you understand the context here of like, so like if he still had the keys, I believe if Maria had the keys, okay, the whole time, he would have, instead of dumping, I think he would have removed all of it. He would have just unbonded PDI and Atropa, and then PDI would have went smack down anyway because now it's thinner. Because instead of having like, 500K on the bid, now there's like 200K. And it's thinner, and then it would have been seen as the market like, oh, crap, he doesn't believe in PDI anymore. He doesn't want to bond to it because it's going down and it doesn't work. He has to save his ecosystem, cover the shelters. That's what I think would have happened anyway. Unfortunately, he could not unbond it. He's only got access to this Treasury Bill stuff out here. So now that everyone, you understand the context of how everything comes out, because you just see prices go down. And people because friends, let's be honest, man, everyone's biased, okay? You know, people say, oh, you're biased. You're wrong crypto. You want everything to go up. Yeah, dude, friends, literally, I watched Uncle Bobby and Ivan on Tech sell a third of their Bitcoin at like 75 to 78K and talk about recession. You know what I mean? So everyone's biased, man. When people click sell and they're sidelined, they're biased too, okay? The thing is, though, you know what you can't be biased about? This. The price. That's why, my friends, if this does recover back up here, it's going to make you think. It's going to make you think about Atropa, Maria. You go, the price recovered back to your point. Is it broken? So, yeah, please, let's go around, sirs. I just want to explain that for everyone. I hope everyone having a good time. So continue, please, Stevie.
Yeah, I guess I would definitely agree with that sentiment then. If Maria has basically figured this plan out or figured out the potential for this a long time ago, picked up these P stables, and burnt the LP, then I think the best thing for him to have done if he didn't burn the LP is just remove it. He believes that there is an extractor. Richard Hart has said stop buying PDI. Richard Hart said remove LP, but he can't. He can't. So now his next best move is what I perceive to be is Treasury Bill. Treasury Bill can be like this ultimate backstop of liquidity. It's just like the global financial system. When liquidity gets sucked out of the system, what do? They just print more money and they just pump it into the system. So that's exactly how I kind of saw Treasury Bill operating as like a defense mechanism instead of everybody seeing it as a positive thing, which can save possibly. I don't think people realize how entangled the Atropa ecosystem is with Pulse Chain because of that PDI and Atropa bonding. Like it can F up the whole entire chain in a very, very big way. So people want to just ignore it, brush it under the carpet. Let's move on. Let's launch the good DAI. Let's forget about the old PDI. There's still 3 billion tokens locked in liquidity. That's a big issue. So yeah, I think
so it's not just issue. Like Maria could have dumped it, guys. Like
exactly.
You could, bro. If you have 3 billion PDI, you could have just literally sat back and go, sweet, you could have done that. Can I also show something, friends? I believe Richard told us exactly what's happening right here. Let's have a zoom up on this tweet. This is Richard's tweet. Look at this. Let me. It's mirrored. Let me unmirror it. Here we go. Look at this, friends. Richard's tweet. This is literally his FUD storm. Solana was totally and completely wrecked, but it had so much free press about being wrecked that they got a free lottery ticket towards pumping back up. It didn't matter if the chain froze often or needed a reboot. As long as people kept buying for whatever reason, memes, I guess, number go up. This, my friends, was buried in the middle of his big FUD storm. So I think he's literally told you the playbook. He's literally told you the playbook. It's the resurrection prophecy. I spoke about this last year. Friends, to resurrect, you got to be dead first. That's what I feel like is happening. Doesn't it feel like it's happening? Like everything's bad. Everything's bad. We have every single influence on Pulse Chain bearish. Everyone's bearish. All the leaders bad. Everything's down 99% wreck. It just feels like the savior now comes. Okay, and we're all speculating what that savior is going to be. But you watch the prices, friends. The market figures this stuff out first. That's why we're saying, I'm like, oh my gosh, if this recovers the price, it's like the first hint that it's happening about. Okay, that's what it comes down to. So when you're seeing where we're talking about Maria and Atropa and Stevie and Stu and Daz, we're going to give our opinions and stuff out here. No one can argue with that price part. That's why obviously a lot of people give us respect. Why? Because we're putting our face out in the red candle. You know how easy it is, friends? Like how easy is it going to be when Bitcoin goes back above 100K, where they're all going to say, hey, I believed the whole time. I knew the structure was going to hold. No, you didn't, dude. We watched you sell the bottom. You know what I mean? But it might be like now. However, Bitcoin gave a 25% discount from the top. These things, PDI went down 98%. So it's like Pulse Chain Pioneers like, hey, man, how much do you believe? You want a discount? You really want a discount? How much do you believe, man? You really believe? Hey, this guy controlling Richard Hart's Twitter is just going to FUD the shit out of this for 33 times in a row. You really believe? I feel like it's like we're shaking. We're like, do you really believe? It's like, that's what I feel like is happening. But you maximum uncertainty, maximum buying opportunity if it's going to play out, right? That's why Bitcoin, friends, you're not going to buy Bitcoin at $2,000. You're just not going to get it. You're not going to get 98% uncertainty. So that's the story of what's going on, friends. You need to know this, right? You want cheap prices? That's the story that comes with it, okay? That's why people say, close your eyes, hold your nose, and just walk away. A lot of people, that's why they do say that. But you miss out on what's going on because you always want to feel like that's why what we're doing here, we're doing a service here for you, showing, hey man, there's signs of life, and everyone says it's dead. So yeah, please continue, sir. I love hearing from your thoughts. Maybe Dazzy and Stu as well. You can chime in how you think these things are basically shaping up to be.
Yeah, I was sent some information the other day that I forwarded on to you and some of you guys, and Marie's basically using Treasury Bill to basically pump the LPs, and so her supply will go right down in the end, but she's pumping that. He or whatever want to be called, the genius, and so she's actually using that Treasury Bill to add to the LP. So I think in the end she won't have that much left. So that is another positive, and that's what she's doing. And there's some good points on there that I did receive that Stu probably wants to talk a bit about them. And also all the haters that are watching, like Crypto 7, just go away. We don't want to hear from you. You're just an idiot. You cause nothing but toxic. So we're just here to talk about facts and be friends and trying to educate people. But yeah, Stu,
Stu, for everyone else as well, if you want to hear that things are going to zero, just go read Twitter. Go watch other people's YouTube. 94% of the market thinks that. They think it's over, right? It's everywhere, okay? We're just presenting a side that's not. That's it. And we're long. We're allowed to be long. And it's allowed to go to zero, and it's allowed to work as well. So you have to have that perspective, okay? So it literally, friends, like when Trump tariffs are going down, did you find anyone saying buy the dip? No. You said it's all over. It's all game over, okay? So we're just here presenting another side out here for these. And by the way, it's crypto. Magic happens all the time. Useless dog coins do freaking thousands of X's as well. So yeah, Mr. Stu there, if you're there, sir, I'd like to hear your thoughts on everything as well.
Hey, you guys hear me all right?
Yep, great.
Hey, I just want to say thanks for having me on. Sommi, I've been listening to you for a long time, and you always talked about the Black Swan event and just ignoring the noise, and here we are. Literally, here we are. And for those who do believe and do understand everything, and basically, you know what, you got to have a set of balls on you at the end of the day to kind of just jump in and ignore the noise, because everyone around you is just trying to tell you that like what you were doing is wrong in this space. And you know what? I appreciate you for being the very first pioneer to say, fuck all that. This is still the narrative. Everything else is bullshit, and let's just keep going on. So like, I love that you're like that. So anyways, fuck, where to start, man? Like, where do you guys want me to start? I got a lot of opinions on Maker. I've done a lot of stuff on Maker. I've done a lot of stuff on the Fed, the T-bill stuff. What do you got for me?
Personally, I would love to hear your perspective on the Treasury Bill. I don't know if you, I'd love to hear your perspective on the Treasury Bill. And like I was just explaining, and there's even still people in the chat talking about the minting, as I explained, I see it as like a defensive mechanism to protect the Atropa ecosystem. And what he's done, it's like the organism is basically saying, okay, shit, I need to survive. I'm going to, if I'm interconnected with Pulse Chain, I need to take out some life. I need to get it out of Pulse Chain, get it out of this risk zone. And then whatever's in Pulse Chain, I'm going to try and protect it now with the Treasury Bill. So I've got this backup over here on Ethereum. Hasn't sold any of that, by the way, but people keep bitching and crying about that without even looking into it, or just going down the fear porn avenue. He's a scammer. He's this and that. So they haven't even looked at that. Then I've looked at Treasury Bill. Oh, it's actually a defensive mechanism that can protect the whole Atropa ecosystem. That's how I'm looking at it. I liked the idea of minting. He's renounced it. He can't mint anymore. So I'd like to hear like what your perspective is on with what he's doing with Treasury Bill and how you see this move, because obviously now that leads into the reserve and like a whole bunch of tokens.
So it's kind of, I mean, us who were kind of paying attention to like the Treasury Bill stuff, we never expected it to be renounced this early, or like, you know, no one really anticipated anything, right? So
yeah, focus on that, sir, because I didn't either. I thought Maria's going to go away for 2-3 months, and it was like, oh, I've renounced it already. It's literally like the movie director, they've killed the bad guy, and then they're like, 2 minutes later, they zoom in on him and his eyes open. It's literally happened. Like, I didn't expect this to happen fast either. So Stu had the same view. I thought I was expecting like 3, 4, 5, 6 months, but it's happening already now. So maybe opportunity. So please continue, sir.
Sommi, we were expecting a couple of years for the Treasury Bill stuff, because like the whole email thread of when they released this interview token, if you actually went and decoded the code, there was actually an email in it. And if you emailed the email, you got entered into this Treasury Secretary email, and that's been basically the minter contract started, where basically a lot of us tried to decode a lot of the stuff that was going on. So it was cool, what they did. But so I was talking to Maria last night, and I know I didn't save the conversation, and I kind of hate that I did that. So everyone kind of had to take my word on it. But the last time I came on Stevie's stream, which I think was a week ago, I had a bit more information, and I literally had word and an email directly from them because I was like, hey, I'm going on stream, blah, blah, blah. I would rather hear it from the horse's mouth than make up information. And last night I basically said, hey, doing the same thing, going on Sommi stream with Steve again. And they were basically like, you know what, like, fuck everyone. And I want to say that in a kind way because they're like, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. I'm sick of hearing everyone's opinion. I'm going to keep building. That's essentially what I took from that, is that like, and so my reply was the Kobe Bryant quote is like, you know, like, job's not done. And obviously the reply I got back was, who the fuck is that? So, but basically that's kind of what I got from it, was like, you know, regardless of the noise, regardless of whatever's going on, they're going to do what they want to do. And then even I presented the stuff that I had found on the maker side of it. Basically, we're at the mercy of whoever's doing this, 100%. Like, if you give me a little bit of space to get in there to create my own vault, I can do what they're doing. A lot of people can.
So, Stewie, can we also remind everyone, guys, if you're in Pulse Chain ecosystem, newsflash, the Pulse Chain origin address can dump the shit out of the price and kill the chain right now. They can do it on Pulse. They can do it on PulseX. They have 90% of the tokens, yeah? They can do it on eHex. They can do it on pHex, okay? Richard Hart's Twitter declared eHex dead March 13, 2024. It then pumped 950% against Pulse. If his actions really wanted to declare it dead, he could have just used the origin address, put a supply wall of 80 billion tokens, and everyone walks away and everything's dead. But he didn't do it for a reason. Maybe he wanted to shake out BankX that had 880 million eHex. Also, friends, when we're talking about shakeouts and stuff, we have to interpret this in real time. So Stu, Stevie, Daz, we don't have all the information here as well. I mean, we're taking bets. If you look at this, right, if Ethereum is at $10,000, the OA sacrifice has 1.7 billion. If Ethereum is at $20,000, it is at 3.4 billion. Do you see how there is a difference of 1.7 billion here? Well, maybe what we're looking at, maybe, that's what we're trying to guess. Maybe Richard Hart, Maria, Pulse Chain Pioneers, maybe their odds of Ethereum hitting 20K, maybe they got lowered because of the recent soy activities of Ethereum. So maybe they said, okay, the plan is we got to get more supply into strong hands because we know we're not going to sell. We believe that might be what we're witnessing, an orchestration of that. That's how I interpret it. I'm lining all up. I go, man, because think about it. What would you do, friends? What would you do if your collateral, your target is now lower on it? You don't know if Ethereum's going to hit 20K. It might take 2 cycles. You're like, crap, I don't want to rely on that. I can't achieve my vision in the next 1 or 2 years. So if you have $1.7 billion missing less, wouldn't you rather supply in your hands? Okay, how are you going to get the supply? If you controlled Richard Hart's Twitter, what are you going to do? Hey, everybody, please send me this coin, which I'm not the founder of. Do you think that's going to work? No. How about you send the Vietnamese kid to flop out his dong and tell everybody words like infinite minting, inflation bug, stop sucking middleman D, bad, 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 pool liquidity, it's bad, stop buying PDI? Wouldn't you do that? Did it work, by the way? Yes. Did it work? Of course it worked. Look at this biblical shakeout. It worked a walloping amount, didn't it? Like, friends, it dropped back 90% down, and it gives you all these days to accumulate. So wouldn't it make sense if you did it now? What's your other alternative? Okay, leave the supply in these weak hand jeets, these scum who are going to dump at 5 to 10 cents all the supply and cap it. Are you going to really rely on them? Maybe you've got a bigger vision. Maybe you don't want to rely on them. Maybe you don't. So if you put yourself in, say, just the pleb shoes, you don't understand what's going on. If you step into Richard's shoes, maybe it makes sense. Maybe Richard's not involved. Maybe it's Pulse Chain Pioneers. Whatever is happening out here, this is completely consistent with how you would do it. This is complete, no matter what anyone says, okay? But what's your alternative? Okay, so it's funny, other people say, oh, why don't you just go make a coin and make your own $90 liquidity stable coin? Maybe someone's got bigger ideas. How do you vampire all the liquidity of Ethereum off that? hey everybody, I'm Richard Hart. Come and use my Richard Hart Maker DAO and make my Richard Hart stablecoin for $1. No one's going to use that. That's not the first cycle unicorn. Maybe he's got a bigger idea. Maybe. See, but the thing is, I have nothing to go off in the past because it's never been done before. So it's simply here along for the ride. So I hope everyone understands, friend. That's why all these uncertainty, we're trying to navigate these. Maybe Maria was so inspired by this PDI stuff. He made his whole ecosystem from that. He's like, man, these things are going to go up. So yeah, please continue, sir. I'd love to hear from you.
Well, I was going to say, like, okay, so everyone looks at dumping as like a bad perspective. Okay, so if someone emails you and says, hey, I have a coin that you could buy right now and you can do a 10x on, I'm pretty sure everyone would buy that knowing it's from a trusted source, and they do a 10x and like, that's perfect. Now, if you look at it as the opposite way down and go, hey, if I sell early and front run the news that like DAI is being minted, we're going to throw that in quotation, minted, and I can make money on it and then still buy at a position that's going to be beneficial to me, then like that's a smart trade. Like, so everyone looks at it as like, oh, Atropa Dev was dumping, blah, blah, blah. Like, I think at this point, anyone who's crying about it lost their position. But if you can front run any sort of news, either good or bad, you're going to do it. It's just how people's perspectives are on things that it's just like, I mean, you're almost hurt by your investments. Like this is kind of the biggest thing about crypto and basically anything. There has to be zero emotion aside in everything you do and everything investing. You have to have a belief, obviously, in a little bit of conviction to, believe in what you're investing in, and you have to do your research. But at the end of the day, like people look at the whole Atropa Dev selling stuff is dumping on us, minting, blah, blah, blah. Listen, maybe they've just given themselves ammo to front run us for the next leg up. And now instead of having, a couple $100,000 to pump the charts, they have $1 million because we've seen.
And they have more supply, sir, as well. That's what you don't know. There could be other wallets. Can I also show you guys? Look at this. I made these pictures here for you. Look at this, okay? This is Terra Luna UST, okay? You see this chart? Infinite minting, yeah? They infinitely minted Luna to cover it. What about this next chart as well? Let me just show you as well. This is an infinite minting bug. This is LUSD, minus 100%. You see that? Infinite minting. Okay, what about another chart here? This thing, DPEGs, bang, minting bug. Do you see that? Okay, this is weird. What about this chart? Is that infinite minting, friends? Does that look like infinite minting? So one of these charts is not the same. But here's the thing, man. I feel like someone went to ChatGPT and said, what words would I need to say in a tweet if I wanted to shake people out of a coin that they own, right? I bet ChatGPT, I might even go check it. Someone should go check it. Infinite minting, exploit, middleman, uncertainty, question mark, answer, question mark, uncertainty, fear, uncertainty, doubt, all of these, right? That's why, friends, what we're showing you is we're like the first people to be like, hey, there's buyers here. We're still here. And then as the price walks up and it recovers, there's that new level is achieved, baby. Achievement unlock. Weird how infinite minting didn't send this thing to zero. As this thing walks up again, you unlock more of the narrative and the story all over again. But at least, when you ever know, friends, we're here. We're on the other side because we believe, right? It's literally believe. Is anyone in here, friends? If you're long, what are you long for? You literally, because pretty much the thing went down 98%. It may as well have been zero. You're long because you really think the world needs a native decentralized stablecoin, right? And this might be Pulse Chain's big opportunity to suck in all the liquidity from Ethereum, right? If you don't believe that, you're out. You're out. How many people do we see shaken out, friends? I'm sure you know everyone. Sell, shake out. So not only do they get shaken out, they sell and they FUD the crap out of it as well. That's how you know I feel like I'm on the winning side. Haven't you guys seen that? As soon as they click sell, their mouths to hate PDI just goes 50 times. You know, we saw that, by the way. I just want to show everyone. This is no friends. We literally saw this in Hex. Okay? This is literally Hex's chart. This whole time here, man. This whole time, friends. You know what? This is called OA, the OA big payday. Okay? There was a big dump here. There were dumps here. There were dumps along the way. Big dump here. This whole time, and we are no strangers to this. It literally happened. That's why when you hear us, we're like, man, if you were here for first cycle hex, it literally happened to you, bro. Did you learn nothing? I think you learned nothing. You literally learned nothing. Okay? That's what breaks my heart. Like, it's right there. It's right in front of you, bro. You went through it, but they just can't connect it because it was Old Testament Richard. It was Richard Warlord, where he's like, follow me, 1 token, do this. Guys, you've all seen, right? Is Richard Hart 2.0 still 1 token, Richard? No. We have PulseX yield farms. You know, Richard told everybody in 2020. Do you know this, PDI, guys? Do you know in 2020, Richard literally spent the whole time telling people, don't touch yield farms. Yield farms are scams. They're trash. You get rugged. There's bug exploits. He spent 1.5 years on stream telling you not to do them. We have PulseX yield farms. Okay? He said only 1 token. We've got freaking 4, right? We've got 4 official ones. Okay? He said no meme coins. They're trash. He made pump tires. He has his own meme coin. Are you not seeing that it's Richard 2.0? Are we just lunatics? Maybe both. Do you see this? Okay, so why is it so hard to imagine that there's a native decentralized stablecoin unicorn that he made the first logo on Pulse Chain? It is hard to imagine. You want to know why, friends? I'll tell you why it's hard to imagine. It's because the price ain't high enough. That's right, my friends. It's because the price ain't high enough. You're going to love this thing at 5 cents, aren't you? I promise you that, okay? You don't like it here. You don't even understand. Is it below 1 cent, above 1 cent? Friends, I've seen this time and time again. I've made videos 2 years ago. They're called, you can look it up, Green Candles Make You Smarter. I sat there in a Discord. Whenever a red candle appeared, people called me a scammer. Whenever a green candle appeared, they said, I am the next coming of altcoin Jesus. Just green monthly candles. And I'm like, wait a minute. When there were red candles, you had no interest. By the way, I was talking about Ethereum back in 2019. Ethereum. I was getting called a scammer in a Discord because I liked Ethereum at $150, right? So it's the same thing playing out again. You know, when 2 green candles for Ethereum came, people started messaging me, oh, I get it. There's a future. There's smart contract platforms. I'm like, bro, you're just replaying the same stuff as me. What happened? Ethereum's price went from 150 to 450. And that's when I realized, oh, crap, people don't actually learn. They're looking at the green candle, man. We're probably seeing that right now. So I hope you appreciate that, friends. We're learning on the red candles. So I'd love to hear from everyone else out here as well. Stevie as well. What do you think about all that?
Yeah, I want to just keep listening to what Stewie was saying. Stewie, do you want to continue? I mean, I completely agree with your sentiment about the green and the red candles, just FYI, Sommi. I think it's the way that we feel determines everything that we say. So, you know, when that dopamine's flowing through the brain, flowing through the body, we're positive, we're optimistic. So I think that's probably been one of the best learning points that you've delivered. But Stewie, do you want to continue where you were, what you were talking about earlier? And also, I don't know if we commented on it last stream with the Atropa movement, but you know, what was everybody's take also on Maria selling on stream? That freaked me out from the perspective of, oh, holy shit, there's a problem here. It never freaked me out from the perspective of, oh, Maria's like dumping on us and he's trying to screw us. Like, why would you sell on camera in front of everybody and tell everybody? It's consistent with his previous actions. That ended up being benevolent. So, yeah, Stewie, where were you up to before, and would you like to continue on what somebody was saying?
So I'll do a couple of things. So it's kind of like with the red candles, the green candles. You know, we talk about when the red candles come out, the pitchforks come out. When the green candles come out, the pitchforks are starting to dig gardens. You know what I mean? So it's just like, it's a true sentiment where people forget about everything bad that happens when you're making money or when everyone's happy. When, you know, people probably should spend more time learning about what they're actually buying and stuff like that. I also, just before we continue on, I just kind of want to say, like, there was the tweet from, I'm definitely saying his name, Britat, a couple of days ago. Supply launch, 6 billion. Supply now, 25 billion. Growth since this post, 500 million. No deflation here, just expansion. That's not sound economics. Obviously, it's not sound economics, but obviously something maybe that's happening here is being different. It's evolving. So obviously, it's not supposed to be sound economics. Like, would you kind of agree on that before I go forward?
Yes.
Yeah, so Do you think he's going to change? By the way, Stevie, Stu, Daz, do you think? Do you guys think in a month or 3 or 5 they're going to say, this thing that was inflating before isn't inflating again? Do you think we're going to see that one day, friends? I'd love to hear Stewie. Do you think we'll see that? And Dazzy?
Okay. Well, it's kind of hard to say because obviously, you know, we're in a speculative space. So like, and I'm a hopeful person for the chain. I want to say that like everything is just a big master plan at the end of the day, that they're just putting us in place to learn about certain things, front run us on learning about certain things before, you know, the real markets come over. Like at the end of the day, if you created something and you knew there was an exploit, like wouldn't you just want to like exploit it first? Like, you know what I mean? It's kind of seems stupid that we're at the point where it's just like we're questioning whether it's someone that's actually doing it or it's him. But who knows? Like, and that's kind of like really beside the point. But this, you know, this game is definitely, it comes down to belief or not. So we'll go to the other guys, and then I'll kind of continue on with what I was talking to Marie about.
Yeah, so as well, you know, when it comes to that Maria thing, yeah. Remember, Stevie asked as well, your initial reaction watching him on stream do it. When I saw it like a movie. I'm like, that's weird. Who abandons and records themselves live while rugging? That doesn't make sense, guys. Have you been rugged before? You don't have time to blink. You wake up, it's 0. You feel like you got stolen, and you're like, well, man, that sucks. And like, you move on. You don't get, hey, I'm going to live stream for 3.5 hours while I dump the bags. What did you think, Daz, when you were seeing that? What was your interpretation, sir?
So now, look at it as like everything they've done from the get-go. You have to look at it. Maybe don't look at it as like building something or this what they're doing. Maybe look at it as a sense of like a science experiment. Everything they're doing, they want to see the reaction to stuff. So like, they sell everything and then they hop on YouTube right away and they want to say, I want to see who's going to react. Like, who are the people that had my back since day one? That like when the tables are down and the cards are down, like, are you going to blame me for everything else that's going on? Like, you kind of get what I'm saying, right? So like, even though we kind of talk about like, if everyone were to front run a green chart that goes up 1,000x, well, you kind of don't really care about the guy that bought at the bottom as long as you're still making money, but you care about it if you're losing money, right? So it's a difference of perspective based on where you stand in the situation. So like, I was talking to Maria about this, basically saying, hey, do you want me to kind of give any comments? I'm going on stream, and basically kind of how I let off before, where they were kind of fuck everyone, because I said like, hey, you know, you want to go on stream or this and that, blah, 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 just kind of open conversation. And they just said, YouTube is such a hateful environment, blah, blah, blah. It's not my next course of action. And what that told me is that was almost an experiment to basically gauge that as soon as they sold, they wanted to see how everyone's reaction was. And that told them exactly what they did. So basically, now we're at the situation where they're like, hey, fuck everyone. I'm still just going to do what I'm doing. Even some of the last stuff, like I think they sent out an email that to everyone that says it was from Meghan Markle, basically saying that, like, if you kind of decoded it in a way, they're sick of pleasing everyone. And I think they tried to do that. And at the end of the day, like one of my favorite quotes of Machiavelli is, if you can't be loved and feared, you may as well be feared. And at the end of the day, maybe that's kind of where we're going, where we have to stop kind of going and believing in people, and we have to start doing our own research at the end of the day. But kind of from what I get from this is they kind of treated a lot of this stuff as an experiment. You know, this is why they have charts that dump. This is why they have charts that pump. Like, it's, you know, we're talking about a very smart person that knows what's going on. And I even kind of brought my maker points to them, and they were basically at the mercy of, the numbers are good. The game hasn't changed. They trust in Richard Hart's plan. because right now all they can do is trust in Richard's Heart plan because of what's going on. Because we have no other information to go on. We have someone that's quote unquote infinite minting. Everyone's abandoning the chain. We got everyone copying every coin that we have and throwing it on a pump fund just to make money off of it from everyone else to make up for their losses. So at the end of the day, yeah, I don't really blame them for saying fuck everyone. I'm just going to do what I want to do and keep building, because anyone else who's kind of ignored the noise and just kind of kept building, bought the dip and stuff like that, you're feeling good, So before we kind of go on to T-bill and Fed stuff, I guess anyone else's thought, and then we'll kind of keep moving on.
Can we also just for everyone else out here, friends, in the context of, I know it's really hard, friends. There's forks, there's community forks and stuff out here. My general feeling for all this stuff is, if you're really scared, you can always just have half and half. You can do that, okay? But you have to be careful as well when it comes to this. Like, when do you do the half and half? Do you go FOMO after something's gone up 100x or down? Do you sell it? So what we're just showing you is we're presenting a case here. So Stu explaining and Daz and Stevie, we're showing that most of the reasons that people are leaving for it, probably just a symptom of wider macro cycle smashing us down altogether. Like, even though it looks really confusing because you're like, man, this looks like it's over. Yeah, but friends, I wish I could just show you, man. XRP community, Phantom. Do you know how many communities out there? They got the same FUD as us, the exact same. It's just change the name, change the person, change the problem. It's something different, but it's the same FUD. Oh, there's a red candle because this guy might be leaving, and then the developers and the ICO money. It's I'm looking at it, but I laugh because I'm like, oh, that must be what everyone sees when they look into Pulse Chain, because they're laughing at our stuff that it's on fire, but they have the balls to buy it because they're not used to this whole. They weren't into with the story. But that's the catch-22 with crypto, right? The more you get in, the more it gets into your head because you find opportunity, but also it hurts you more when like the leader says something or something doesn't go to plan. So I hope everyone has a context out here when you're navigating this all together as well. Also, I have a comment here from my Telegram as well. Mr. Cocky Investor said, great stream. To me, there's a more immediate threat. It would have been regarding PDI and Maria, that 3 billion amount, rather than the exploit. So basically saying like he always felt like the Maria 3 billion PDI was always a bigger issue than this exploit out here. But that's why, friends, like in markets, man, it looks like it's over at the bottom, right? Donald Trump says, guess what? We're all going into a recession. I'm going to tax China 4 million%. What happens? Ends up walking back. It literally just ends up walking back. They're like, actually, you know what? Nah. And the price has recovered amongst most of the S&P 500. What if we see something in the next 5 months, Maria comes on stream again? Like, is everyone even ready? What if Maria comes on stream again in 3 months and he starts buying the coins? See, no one's even prepared for this stuff like this. But if you're waiting for that moment, opportunity might be gone. That's what we're just saying. You don't get this world where everything is ticked off and the price is cheap. You never get that world, friends. I'm sure you can all chime in. You don't get that. It's literally maximum certainty. You either hold and believe and you're willing for it to go to zero, or you're out, but then you pay a price later. You pay a price. Yeah, that's the green candle chasers and everything out here. I'd love to hear someone else's thoughts as well on that and everything, friends. Do you think Maria will even come back? Do you think he'll stream again? Do you think like no one's even considered? What if he just starts buying? What if he starts buying with a bit? I'd love to hear everyone's thoughts.
Yeah, well, first of all, can I just say it's not Maria? Maria's dead. It's Hamad Daichi now. So I think that's also very significant to consider. Even though I'm saying it as a joke, I think it's very significant to consider in the context of the Atropa ecosystem. So what do you boys think?
Like outrage marketing, old Richard's done. Now it's not Maria's gone, bro. Hamad is back. Hamad. Yeah, so I love the
a reborn person and the reborn treasury and a reborn ecosystem. That's what he's getting to, basically. He wanted to get the big fish out, like B Roots and then big players who are sucking the life out of Teddy Bear. they've gone now, and that's what Marie wanted to do. She wanted to fab them out and scare them, and God, they're scared because they're not coming back. They've created their own Teddy knockoff bear, which is no good. But yeah,
exactly.
And I think that's what she wanted to do, or he wanted to do. I don't know, but that's what she wanted to do. And also, you know, I know someone recently got an email from Maria, which explains what is actually going on at the moment. So at the moment, the Treasury Bill is being used to pump LP, and all V1 LPs between Treasury Bill and PUSDT will be burned in a planned event towards a certain date. I know what the date is, but I won't say it because it's soon. You know, in the next couple of weeks. So that's what he's currently doing. So hopefully, you're going to see more activity in the background, and that supply for Treasury Bill will come down, and Maria will have less and less and less. So yeah, it's exciting times coming. But yeah, that's my thought on it.
No, you're kind of. Oh, I was gonna say you're kind of bang on with that. I know, like we had talked before this, and you sent me the email, and there's kind of stuff that, like, I know Maria had kind of been vocal about beforehand. I know they were talking about, like, the King chat and, like, the Zia, like, kind of like the Stamia stuff that they're making. But at the end of the day, I know the goal was they were pairing, like, I think USDC with Treasury Bill, USDT and PDI. But I know that stage 2, because I know I brought the Fed up to them. So the conversation was, I said, hey, you know, what are your plans for Fed? I actually said that, like, maybe you should try to run Fed along parallel with Treasury Bill and USDT in the event that in the event that USDT and USDC are actually 1-to-1, that Treasury Bill and Fed are actually 1-to-1. So there would be manual arbitrage for profit there if everything kind of became 1-to-1 to 1-to-1. So, like, it's almost like a big, call it a tensor, where everything's kind of being pulled in all directions. And if you provide LP for these things, and it's supposed to be 1-to-1, that's kind of where you make your money, right? But they said no. They said, I'm focused on stage 2, which is basically buying USDT with Treasury Bill and pairing it with LP to a certain amount and then burning it. And that was a couple of days before the Fed really, really pumped. So the Fed pumped, and it did a lot of damage, like, in a sense of, like, people were really like, hey, this is starting to catch eyes. 1-to-1 with Treasury Bill, 1-to-1 with PDI. So I kind of want to put the brakes on the 1-to-1 with PDI, because at the end of the day, it's just supposed to be, in theory, 1-to-1 with Treasury Bill. You meant one Treasury Bill token for one Fed token. Right now, that is not profitable. So not recommended.
We got a comment. There's a comment from a user, friends. It says, what would it mean if Maria came back and start buying? Would that be bullish or bearish? Don't know if it's a joke. Here's the thing. Because Pulse Chain, friends, we're in a blue ocean chain. Now, blue ocean means it's new demand. No one's here. New demand also means retailers. So it's really opportunistic. Why? Because if you believe and it works out, you get really cheap prices and you get high returns. The problem, though, is you don't have anybody to back you with words. It's very tough. You're by yourself. That's new demand, right? It's blue ocean. So the thing is, a red ocean, it would be swimming with sharks and there's blood everywhere. That's like Soilana, right? The thing is with Atropa ecosystem, Atropa bonded to PDI, Atropa's down because Maria sold and people are under the assumption it's a total rug abandon. So if there is any action like Maria buying, even like $1,000 worth, that is a signal to the market where they say, wait a minute, everyone sold because they think it's dead. Not because it's going lower, they think it's fully dead. So if you're buying when you think it's alive and everyone else thinks it's dead, you have maximum opportunity. Okay. With Bitcoin, you know, when people sell Bitcoin, no one sells because they think it's dead. If they think it's dead, it's going down 98%. If everybody actually thought Bitcoin's dead. When people sell Bitcoin, they think, oh, we're going in a recession. It's going to be slow for the next 1 to 2 years. That's why they sell. However, when Bitcoin's 100K, you have to buy it at 80K on a discount. That's you get 20% off. With Maria's, Atropa, Richard Hart stuff, we don't get 20% discounts. You get 95%. Like, you get a gargantuan discount. Then it comes down to believers. By the way, it does not mean that it's going to work out. It just means if it was to work out, you have huge opportunity. That's why you have to, if it's a lottery ticket, yeah? You have to basically assume that you don't know the future, but you do have maximum opportunity, right? You don't get these big discounts anyway. You don't, friends. That's why it's a double-edged sword, right? Hey, you want cheap prices? You want high upside volatility? Okay, this is the price we pay. The price you pay is no one's here. You buy yourself, and you're like, oh crap, man! Like, is it really over or not? Like, that's why it just comes down to if someone looks at this from the future, they're gonna say it's easy, but we know it's not easy because they're gonna say, oh, of course it's not dead. But like, who else is there? There's no one out here saying it's not over. You know, if Bitcoin dropped 80%, you know how many people would come out? How many people would come out? Everyone would come out saying, oh, it's still alive. It's still alive. But in Pulse Chain, because Richard Hart, because we only have 10,000 daily active users. Yeah. So when something goes down, no one's here. But you get the best prices. So that's what it comes down to. It's still a bet. It's literally a bet. Doesn't matter what the coin is. I mean, you're still taking a bet. You just got to decide, how much are you comfortable with right now? I'm completely comfortable with this uncertainty because we checked the chain. We know PDI was minted 2 days before. We see Maria streaming, dumping, but also doing stuff in the background and doing this Federer stuff out here. We see that. That's increasing our probability it's still alive. That's enough for me. Other people want to see much more. There are people out here, they'll literally never buy PDI unless Richard says to buy it. They're literally out here. That's the weakest of weekends, by the way. You're just following the words of another man. So there's a scale out this. And we're all going to get an answer in the next 30, 60, 90 days, depending on what the price does here. So yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts and stuff out here, friends. I've actually got to go, friends, as well. I love you. That's why I've been speaking a bit much. So God bless everyone. Hope everyone enjoyed it. Stevie, Stu and Daz out here. So I hope, friends, you got the short see this perspective. Like right now, it's not joking. 94% of people say it's all dead. 6% don't. So maybe that's what you got to do. You got to, okay, you don't know if it's dead or not. You don't know. Okay. But what if it was alive? What do you want to see? Yeah. People have different scales of what they want to see. Some people literally, they want Richard Hart to say, buy this. And I'll only buy if Richard says that. We don't need that. We can think for ourselves. I don't need Richard to say that. In fact, Richard said to sell it effectively. We still bought. I bought more. Okay. So you've got to figure out what you want for yourself. And just remember, man, like, we're at every single point of the risk curve for every single person. Yeah, there are people out here in Bitcoin and Ethereum land, they think you're a degenerate just because you're in Richard Hart stuff. You know what I mean? So only you can make that decision. Okay, well, like we said, no crying in the casino. God bless everybody. Hope everyone has a fantastic day. I'll catch you soon, friends.
Thanks for joining, Sommi.
See you, Sommi.
Boys, I want to address this comment. So obviously the negative perspective of Hamad Daichi is Hamad is a bad actor. So Maria Rahel, so the artist formerly known as Maria Rahel van Hagen. What do you guys think of this concept that the Moon King is proposing here, where there'll be a bank run where 97% of Bill, so I think he's referring to the large holdings of Treasury Bill that Maria has. He'll dump that when Richard comes and streams. In a week, he's speculating to really kill PDI. And Hamad will dump that, and everyone will just run to the pump tires Teddy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up...
I think New King just talks a load of bullshit as per usual because he wants to shell his own bags, and that's my honest opinion. And that's what you know me. I give my honest opinion. I'll say it how it is. He just wants to shell his own bags because he's got this old bear thing. He was scared like a little girl when he saw Marie dumping, and he ran away. And then people that were strong are going to benefit from it. And Marie has probably put that name up to scare people off and let the believers who believe in the ecosystem they will benefit from it. And the people that are scared and running away, they won't benefit from it. So, yeah, that's what I think. I won't believe anything that B-Root says. He does shell his own coins and does scam people. And, you know, Marie wants people who are strong, who are going to hold, who are not going to dump on people all the time. That's the kind of people he wants, not people just going to run away because of an event that's happening. If you believe in the ecosystem, you'll stick around no matter what.
Love it. So it's really a matter of faith in Maria for you.
Yeah. So it's faith in the whole ecosystem. You know, Maria's just not gonna do all this work for nothing and then just dump on us. You know, this work's been going on for 2 whole years or nearly 2 years now. So he's not just going to run away from it. He's met people. He said what he's going to do. He's talked about make a DAO as well. So, you know, he could have had talks with, you know, people in the background about it as well. We don't know what's happening in the background. But what I do believe is things are going to move up and we are all going to benefit from it. The whole ecosystem, even, you know, Hex, Inc., PLX, everyone's going to benefit. But, you know, the people, the haters outside, they won't believe because they get scared. And, you know, hopefully the next couple of weeks we start seeing movement. You know, I think in the next couple of days you'll see Joy go to zero. And things will start moving. Did you change the setting?
I did. Yeah, I was kind of hoping the issue would be fixed because it's really, really annoying listening from the other speakers. But that's okay. I'll put it back.
Yeah. So the next couple of weeks, everything is going to start moving. Joy's going to go to zero, and I just think there's going to be a lot of movement in the background. So you know, if you don't see like Treasury Bill hit $1 straight away, you know, it'll still do a big move under Richard Hart law. So yeah, all the tokens that we do have is going to be it's going to be positive. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's, you know, it might take a bit longer, might take a few more months for Marie to finish what he wants to do. But yeah, it's slowly building in the background.
And what about for yourself, Stewie? So going back to, let me bring these comments back up. So yeah, that Maria will sell the Treasury Bill and everyone will get rugged when Richard Hart fuds PDI for the last time. What do you think?
Well, you know what? There's kind of 2 things to pay attention to. So I guess the first one I'll touch on is you have to kind of look at the exploiter themselves and how they sell, right? And you look at how much they're selling versus how much it affects the chart. And it's almost like as they're creating supply, they're actually dumping it in. So it actually dilutes how much a sell will affect the chart, right? So it's something like that it should continue to go up over time, but that's really not the point. I also kind of want to bring up that like the crypto kings are right in a way because this is an important thing about crypto in general. This is not just Treasury Bill or anything. This is about every token you look at. You have to make sure X amount is in LP, because if there is not, say, 80% of liquidity, then everyone can fucking dump on you. And that goes for every single token. So, like we talk about Pulse Chain. Richard Hart could essentially dump on us right now, and the chain is fucking dead. Right? Am I wrong to say that? You know?
Correct.
So we take faith in everything we actually buy just based off of kind of face value, where people don't actually do, you know, the math. And it's not even like it's not even called math. It's basically like go to the chart, who holds X amount. Okay, well, do we know this wallet? Oh, well, is this wallet a good or bad actor? At the end of the day, it's like that stuff doesn't matter. You have to know who holds what, when they buy, how much someone holds. Just basically every little thing ties into what you buy if you don't know what you're buying. So, yeah, at any point, Treasury Bill could dump the 90% they own. But what if Maria all of a sudden decides to burn it? But this is the part of where people have to learn to not go all in on everything. Listen, you could have 100% bag and DAI stables and like actual ETH like dollar value, and just go here. You know what? If I believe in Teddy's going to do this, I'll throw 25% there. If I believe in Bear is going to do this, I'll throw 25% there. Whether you're right or wrong, you're still protecting yourself. And like what people have to understand is that like you have to protect the way you invest. And it's not about like winning or losing. It's about like understanding the game. You know, so listen, and we're going to get into this when we talk about the Fed. But like, yeah, absolutely. Anyone who buys anything where there is a majority ownership above you, they will be able to dump on you if they bought earlier than you did. That is it. You know, so you are, the moment you buy into a token and there is someone that buys before you, you are buying into something knowing that you have faith in that system. Simple as that.
Yeah, there seems to be like a clear split between the people who've been watching this for a long time and have seen, for example, that the Treasury Bill is something that could be minted. And there's people that are following the chat logs and have watched the Zurich interviews and the Amsterdam interviews, and they're piecing together what Maria is trying to do versus maybe what some actions in the old crypto world could be perceived as, like, oh, this is a rug pull. Oh, this is someone who's like trying to take advantage of us and scam us. Yes, there is that probability. I will put my hand up and say, yes, I have considered those things. And yes, there is that probability that that is actually the case, that we're all being completely fleeced here in some dramatically complex way by Hamad Daichi. That is definitely something where I will admit, yes, I definitely have bias towards my bags, and I don't believe that that's the case. But there's also the counter to that, which is there is a new style of dev who's creating an ecosystem, which means it's not about any individual token. And if it's a living organism, it eats in nutrients being liquidity from the outside world. So when I have a look at charts like this, which is the chart? This one, like Treasury Bill and DAI. When I looked at Treasury Bill and DAI, I'm like, oh, this kind of looks like Hex and HODX. There's almost like this, you think you're getting a deal and you do a swap, but actually it's just going to keep sucking in that liquidity into the system somehow, the way that he's set this up. So it's kind of like a Venus flytrap that's sucking in liquidity into his system, which is like giving it a backstop with the whole Treasury Bill. So I'm kind of looking at it from, okay, what would I do if I was trying to protect this thing? So that's when I started to think about Treasury Bill as this force field that's protecting against any major issue that could happen. So again, just like this, just in the same way that the Fed at the moment would print money to save the economy. So yes, it can be the dumping, of course, but we're looking at all these actions up until this point. We're looking at the transparency of this information, and it was all known. If you didn't know Treasury Bill was mintable, then unfortunately that was your own fault. If you rushed into it because somebody else told you to buy and you didn't do any research, that was your own fault. And I'm not here promoting anyone to buy anything. Always with the Atropa ecosystem, I've always tried to analyze it as an ecosystem. What is it actually trying to do? What does it actually mean? Which I believe no one truly fully understands. So there's that faith component about what he's doing or what he could do. There's the looking at his previous actions, what he could be doing and what the potential might be doing. And then there's also the simple math of it. So something that the Don here has spoken to Maria in person. So I want to just go through his comments, because these 3 points here are exceptional. So there's this first one. So the Atropa token was initially divided into a hedge fund, TSFI, a work fund, LOL, the savings account, down, and then the legal contract, which was set up as the initial non-mintable lock device. And then if you look at how down and Atropa are paired, the massive locked liquidity in Atropa is significantly less than the originator contract holdings for the token, even as the P stables track to $1. But every investment into down introduces a greater ratio for the contract originator to eventually cash out. So the contract originator being Maria, the 414 wallet, or at the time it was Maria Rahel. So 3. The holdings positions on down is intended to justify itself over time and is currently at a significant loss from the invested capital. So anyone who's put in money into down is down, basically. So I expect to see my own profit come primarily out of there during the initial stages. So this is, I think he's repeating things that Maria has said. So okay, nice. So that was all his comments. So those were Maria's. That was initially the way that Maria set it up. So I want to. So okay, again, it's a belief thing, right? So we're sitting on this side saying, okay, we're looking at Maria's actions, we're seeing what he's trying to do. We don't believe that he can scam. So now it comes down to a belief thing. There's going to have to be some pretty significant evidence for me to pivot my perspective and say, well, he's actually just creating this elaborate scam that he's rugging us. I think all his actions point to contrary to that. In the midst of all that, obviously now we've formed so we got the Moon King in here. So the Moon King and a lot of people have separated from the Atropa ecosystem and have created their own teddy bear. For example, then there was the whole PDI, which was created. I still believe in the original. I think it's a massive, massive blow for the people like the Crypto Kings to not be in Teddy Bear. I think it's a massive blow. But I also believe when Maria said if he can do anything, he'll save Teddy Bear. One thing that the original Teddy Bear has, which the other Teddy Bear doesn't have, is the backing by the Atropa ecosystem. The fact that it's connected with the rest of the ecosystem and the fact that levers can be pulled positively or negatively to influence the price. So I think this is something that the new Teddy Bear doesn't have. One of the biggest losses is the microphone effect that the Crypto Kings and people like that introduced into it. So can you guys speak on that and what your perspective on Teddy Bear is in the context of existing within Atropa and then the new Teddy Bear outside of Atropa? And let's keep insults and personal opinions about people out of it. Let's just talk about the charts and the math and the code.
Well, okay, I'll go first. I haven't honestly since Pump Fund launched. Basically, when that stuff happened, I personally was digging into a lot of the minter stuff that Maria was building and launching. So, when that stuff came out, I basically was 10 steps behind, and I still am like a couple steps behind. So when it comes to charts and making money, if there's an opportunity to make money, I'm not gonna ever say that's a bad investment for anyone. But for anyone who blindly just follow those people in a sense of, hey, buy this, blah blah blah, that's the wrong sentiment to be in. But if we're comparing charts, it kind of goes back to your belief system on, what do you believe in? Where do you think you stand? What do you think Maria's going to do? What do you think this chart's going to do? No one knows. But at the end of the day, it's about risk. It's about not putting all your eggs into one basket. And this is why everyone is so emotional about everything. It's like, do this, do that, do that. But why can't I just do 25% in Bear and 25% in Teddy and see which one does better? You know what I mean, right?
Great
at
comment.
the end of the day, it's just one of those things that, like, the argument of, oh, this is going to do better than this, it's like it doesn't exist, because there's good actors and bad actors in every chart. And say, hey, the moment Richard hops on stream, and say if he doesn't say a damn thing about diet, he might never hop on stream ever again. So this might just be speculation. So it's just one of those things that, like, we're just holding hope to. So at the end of the day, everyone just has to do their best research, put their money what they believe in, but also holding some on the side. Like you don't have to go all in, so that when things go wrong, you're emotional about what happens. That's the bottom line in all of this. Is just like, I know we're talking about what if this, what if that. Like, fuck, man, if you believe in this is going to happen or this might happen, then diversify your portfolio in a way so that you're not going to get wrecked. Like, the problem with crypto is that everyone thinks that every token is a lottery ticket, you know? And the game has been changing since the last time everything did, like, 900x's and we had, billionaires being made out of thin air. That's not happening anymore. So, like, you have to diversify yourself, do the research of what you believe in, and at the end of the day, like, if your risk pays off, your risk pays off, you know? And you get what I mean, right, Stevie?
I get exactly what you mean, and I think that's a really, really great comment as well, because, yeah, obviously, I mean, I follow the Crypto Kings, and if their voice, which is a very, very powerful voice, not just within Pulse Chain, but within the wider crypto market, says, oh, we're pivoting to this, that doesn't mean if I say, oh, I'm interested in that teddy bear too, that doesn't mean that I'm abandoning ship on this teddy bear. That just means, well, I'm flowing with the direction of the wind. So if the wind is moving in that direction, well, I'm going to set my sail and go with it. I'd be foolish not to look at the other teddy bear as something that I could profit from, because we know that attention gets eyeballs, which gets liquidity. So I think it's foolish to say, I'm just going to ignore it. And if you are that person, that's totally fine. That's totally 100% fine for everybody to do their own thing. That's just my perspective. But I do believe that this teddy bear, the original teddy bear made by Maria, I don't think anyone should be fading this teddy bear. I think it's a huge mistake. I think everyone's going to be left in the dust. Now, if my thesis plays out that Maria is actually a benevolent dev, then it's a massive, massive mistake, in my opinion, to leave behind teddy bear. I think it's a huge mistake. So I don't think the story for teddy bear is over, even in the slightest. That's just my perspective. So, Daz, what did you think?
I just think the original teddy bear, I think that it will come good. You've seen it pump quite high before, but I think, in the next couple of months, I think the chart will do the talking and show people that it will outperform, and I believe it will get to a billion market cap. In my personal view, that's what I think it will do. The other bear or teddy bear, whatever they want to call it, I just don't like when influencers that's got big accounts start to put out big shell coins that they could have launched themselves, or they know someone who launched it. I just don't think it's a good idea to follow them people sometimes, because a lot of the times you just can't trust them, because they probably hold. I looked at one of the charts, and at one point someone owned like 35% of that coin. So over 350 million out of a billion on that coin. So yes, I don't know if they own it anymore because I haven't looked at it, but I just don't trust people with these big accounts. You have to do your own research. It's fine if you want to, if they say, oh, have a look at this, do your own research, have a look at the coin, look at the people that are doing it, look at the history and stuff like that. You have to do your own work, and I'm not going to turn around and tell people not to buy it, because that's up to them. And yes, someone did own 35% of it, because I've got it on my, I've seen it on the chart and I've actually screenshot it. So yes, I can actually show you guys of that screenshot. So yeah, I've actually shared it before as well. So to warn the community what was happening, but it's up to people what they buy. I can't tell them what to do. You know, if they want to buy both of them, great. But it doesn't mean I'm going to buy it. You know, big accounts gaslighting to fill their own bags is what happens quite often. You know, there's another coin that they shell quite well as well, and when it gets to the top, it all of a sudden dips because they sell. So I won't say which coin that is, because there's evidence of that. So, but yeah, I'm not going to say anything, because you know it's not about them. It's about the Atropa system, but I do think Teddy Bear will come good. You know, we've seen it come good before and did big numbers. If you buy now, you're going to be set up quite well. So yeah, and also what I would like to talk about is T-bill, Fed, and what's the other one? Is it federal? I can't remember.
FDIC.
Yeah. How that all works, because some people are asking me about that in some of the chats, and
Okay.
I said you guys will probably be best to explain that.
Well, let's.
And I,
if you don't mind,
I just wanted to say, just like kind of the reason why I brought up a lot of the stuff I did before, because a lot of it is going to lead up into what we are talking about. So it's important to, you know, the research you do, the charts, this and that. So like everything we are talking about now and everything I'm bringing up does have a point to the stuff I am going to be bringing up. So Stevie, lead us off, buddy.
Yeah, so just as a very, very quick context, so before we go into the Treasury and the Fed, let's really wrap our head around what the concept is first. So looking from left to right. So this is an example of Treasury Bill, which is the parent token, to the Fed Reserve TER, which is the child token. This whole system is about arbitrage. So when we say fair value, one Treasury Bill gets burnt to mint one Fed. So this is where my concept of quote unquote fair value comes from. It realistically should be priced at 1-to-1. But if you have a look at the chart at the moment, it's nowhere near priced at 1-to-1. Treasury Bill is the power of Treasury Bill's price is way stronger than the Fed. Okay. So in other words, the arbitrage opportunity there is in selling your Treasury Bill for Fed. So if Treasury Bill is higher, then swap for Fed if you believe in the 1-to-1 narrative. So in other words, where we are now, it's in your favor because the power is in Treasury Bill to swap Treasury Bill for the Fed. So if you believe that Fed is going to hit 1-to-1 with Treasury Bill, then you would swap for Fed. Okay, so the other arbitrage opportunity is when Treasury Bill is higher, so it's weaker than the Fed, you would burn one Treasury Bill to mint one Fed, and then you would swap that back into Treasury Bill. So in other words, when the price is above this line, it means that Fed has more price power than Treasury Bill. So you would burn a Treasury Bill, you would mint the Fed, and then you would sell the Fed for more Treasury Bill. So let's just do crazy numbers here. So let's go up to about 100 here. So in other words, if it's here, you could burn one Treasury Bill to mint one Fed, and then that one Fed is worth 100 Treasury Bills. So then you would sell one Fed, and you'd get 100 Treasury Bill. And then obviously, as you keep doing this, the price is going to come back to the 1-to-1. So this factor of minting and burning helps stabilize the price very easily when it's above. When it's below, this is where it gets really interesting for me, because we've seen some big moves with the Fed happening. It's knocked off 3-0, so it's done some big moves. Now, in the context of this, there's a whole series, there's a whole line. So we're talking about FDIC as well. So we have Treasury Bill, which is the original parent, and then the first child, which is the Fed. Now, the Fed then is the parent to the FDIC. So in other words, one Fed will burn for one FDIC. And then you would have the same dynamic playing out between the Fed and FDIC on its chart. So in other words, here on its chart, at the moment, the Fed is worth much more than FDIC, 22,060 to 1. So you could sell one Fed and you would get 22,060 FDIC. When it's below, you would burn your Fed and you would get FDIC, and then you would sell that and it would bring it back to the 1-to-1. So now again, that dynamic plays out all the way along. So then FDIC to DFM. So you guys are thinking of Treasury Bill, Fed, and FDIC. That's as far down the chain you've got. But this chain goes all the way. So it goes from DFM, parent to child, parade. Parade is parent to child, TRZ, then TRZ, so on and so forth, right? All the way down to bar. And then bar is the parent to 27 children tokens. So yeah, that's the context of what's happening with all these charts. And then Stewie, I'll hand it over to you.
All right. So, yeah, you know what, man? You know what? This is, a lot of it is important when it comes to minting because there's a lot of arbitrage opportunities. So when it comes to, I'll go backwards here. So when it comes to the FDIC and people are buying it, I'm advising you not to buy it because it is supposed to be a token that is minted and sold down to the price of minting price. So that is one of the big things when it comes to the FDIC. You need Fed to mint the FDIC, but the supply of Fed is reliant on the supply of Treasury Bill and how much is minted into Treasury Bill. So when it comes to minting in the Treasury Bill, you mint 1-to-1 and those tokens are burnt forever. So as you mint into as you mint Treasury Bill into Fed, those tokens are burnt forever. But if you mint in Fed into FDIC, there is an ability in the contract to claim those tokens. So you can essentially put a loop on Fed to infinite mint FDIC forever based on how much Fed you have. And I'm going to actually tell you that if you look at the wallet that has 10 billion Fed, you will see that that person has had the ability to mint FDIC on a very, very quick basis. So this is kind of why I've been very vocal on like do not buy the minted tokens. If you're going to buy them, you flip them. This is also why I created reward tokens for each one of these tokens, because as you get rewarded these tokens, as the chart gets pumped up based off of Hart's law, like as everything gets brought up, you can just sell them. Like this is the thing. You can just keep dumping them in because there's always the opportunity that people can, mint, do this, do that. But the fun thing about the claim thing is that like unless you actually have the bot or the logic to mint and claim in one transaction, as you mint, someone can steal your claim, and basically, you're minting for a price rather than for free. So it's kind of a weird game, and it's a big game that goes on with these minters. So like, I advise anything from the FDIC on not to be bought, but I do recommend that if you do want to hold a portion of it or always have some in a position that if the price goes up, you can sell. Look at what tokens are actually rewarding those ones. Because we're going to go back to token majority. I own a lot of the tokens because I built the system. I built it based off of the fact that I held majority Fed and I was in a majority position to control what was going on. So I built this game for everyone else to play in so that everyone else could make a profit and people could learn what arbitrage really was and what it was like to sell for the price of gas. So you have to kind of trust what people are doing. You know what I mean? So essentially, as people are buying FDIC, the largest wallet is me. I can dump on everyone right now, but that doesn't benefit me. You know what I mean? So there's got to be something to Pulse Chain that's like, dude, I'm not a greedy person. I don't need a lot. Like, what, you give me a couple $100,000? What am I gonna buy? A fucking boat? I need a boat. You know what I mean? Like, I gotta pay off a couple of bills and I can live comfortably. You know, but not everyone's the same way. But like, not everyone wants to be greedy. Some people want to see everyone win. You know, and this is how I like to perceive myself. So,
Stu, you mentioned being able to. Can you cover the concept of, you mentioned claiming? You could claim. So with Fed and FDIC, how does that work? What's the process there? I knew about the burning and the minting, but I didn't know about the claiming.
so this is the game, and the whole thing is that, like, if you go to some of these tokens, you'll see a lot of like random ass tokens that have like high supplies, like actually held by the contract itself. So there's a claim function on these that basically, so for you to find this, you're going to have to go to the Atropa logs. You're going to have to either get the ABI there or from DDoB. I can probably give it to you, but regardless, how it starts is when you actually take the launcher and you launch a token based off a launcher, you're actually launching it off of MV. Now, like, you remember that, right? Like, when we first started, it was
Yes.
like, hey, if you wanted to launch a token, you base it off of how much MV you want to sacrifice for your token amount, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, it was actually based off of Treasury Bill being minted into your token.
Right.
Basically, how these minted, so it switches, right? So if you launch a token, the supply is based off of MV, initial launch, but then as you mint, you need Treasury Bill to mint you more supply.
Mm.
So a couple of us have been able to, throughout this, as Treasury Bill dumps, we're able to actually take Treasury Bill, mint it in these tokens, and able to say, for every 10,000 we sell, we're getting, 13,000. So there's the arbitrage there, right? But we're also burning Treasury Bill when we do it. So it's like, it's beneficial to the overall system. So I haven't had the time to do it. I need to write a big thing up so that everyone can benefit off of all this. But there is a bigger game to all this, and the contract there. So I recommend everyone actually taking the time. If you want, you go to the Atropa log, then you go to the, I believe it's one of the very first minters, and you can try to find out how to game it. And there's a way how to do it, and there's a way to benefit off of the system. There really is a way. You know what? This is no different than what the guy did, the maker. Right? There's a way to profit off of the system while still helping everyone else in this sense. So that's kind of the thing. So I learned this early on, that we were able to, beat the contract, but there was also a bigger game to be played where it's like, hey, we can teach everyone about arbitrage. We can teach everyone about how everything works, and everyone can actually still win at the end of the day. This is what Pulse Chain is meant to be. Everyone can win if they pay attention to, the little lessons here and there. But, this is kind of where it comes back to, where don't dump your whole fucking bag into something and stuff like that, right? So at the end of the day, we'll move on. Let's keep moving on. I see we got the teddy bear on the face there, so I want to hear some voices over there. Moo King.
What's up, people? How y'all doing over there? What's going on?
Moo King?
Oh man, I don't see how anyone understands my perspective. I don't get it. Man. It's very interesting. I think this space is going to get very loud in the next few weeks, and if you don't position yourself well, There's gonna be a lot of upset people, but at the same time, the market will always win. So whatever the market chooses, the market gets. No matter what you think, there's gonna be wrong people. There's gonna be right people. There's gonna be people in between. If you pick a side, there's a chance you lose. That's everybody, no matter what.
But hey, this is why I stress that like you can position yourself to win and lose and not be sour about what happens, you know?
I am convinced that RH, what we saw with RH, when he finally spoke out and be the RH we all know and all seen, that was genuine RH. That's no games, in my opinion. So we have seen Maria, Hamad, whatever you want to. We have seen him react to the real RH. So you showed your true colors, and to me, that was like a glimpse of what's to come. Because if he's done that, if he did that, what we saw him do, he will do it again, 100%. I don't believe in the stories after the fact of
And
what
you
he
know what?
says afterwards. I just don't believe it. It's hard to believe.
This is the bigger thing I kind of want to stress on. Like when people talk about buying T-bill and buying Fed, the minting and this and that, and like there's opportunities to make money in every trade, but there is still always the risk of this person dumping on it. And you know, I have transcripts with the guy. A lot of them are saved, a lot of them aren't because I forget that they aren't. So you're taking my word at it. But at the end of the day, I remember bringing it up to them. And I said, hey, Fed's doing good. And they said, here, I'm going to leave it up to the community and I'll do whatever I want with my holdings based off of whatever the community wants to do. Also, we're taking it at face value. You know what I mean? Like I can run around and promote that and say, hey, this is what they said, this is what they said. But like, we got to be smart at this. We have to say, hey, you know what? Let's put a bit here. If they do that, that is a win. But at the end of the day, let's put ourselves here to position ourselves so we win both ways. Like, you get what I mean, right? So
yeah, I mean, I'm not mad at that position at all. You'll never hear me, and I've been saying it since day one. You'll never hear me get mad at someone doing the moon bag. It's the choosing of the directions. So when you chose the directions that way, and you're like, so for this direction, really the only people who have the ability to say, like, one person is right or one person is wrong is, at the end of the day, is going to be the final boss. It's literally going to be the final boss. And you got to go off of, in my opinion, you have to go off of actions, what we've seen. Now, if you do believe the PDI situation is what it is, not exploiting all part of the game, then I'd be like, okay, like, that's what they believe. That's what they're going. Now, take bag bias out of it, which is so hard to do. It's so hard to do for people to do that. But people get mad at me from my perspective. I was in both. So you can't sit there and get mad and say I'm bag biased, because I'm not bag biased.
and
Because
be
literally
rude.
at the time I had the actual product. I made a decision.
Hey, you know what? And like I've done the research. Like I'll be completely honest. When it comes to PDI and everything right now, we are at the absolute mercy of whoever is running the system. Bottom fucking line of what everyone says. We are at the mercy of this guy that is doing everything, the maker, running PDI. That's it. Either you believe this person is a good actor or a bad actor, you have to position yourself, and you know like if you go all in on him saying he's a good actor and he dumps on you, then like you have no one to blame but yourself. And that's at the end of the day, the most important thing here is like there is narratives here, but you literally have to kind of position yourself to be in the most comfortable situations. Hey, if you know situation XYZ happens, then like I'm happy. But if like ABC happens on this one, then like and my life's over, then that's you got to be smart in this game, and there's the risk. there's always the risk,
So I want to say something to Surfing Coin. I hope you're truthful to people that your teddy bear is not the OG bear. It looks like you're taking advantage. I'm not taking advantage. I'm giving you an outcome. And if people believe in that outcome, they go over to that outcome. It's that simple. And in my opinion, if you trust and believe in Richard Hart that he wouldn't screw you over in that type of way, which I don't think he ever would. Like I said, I know the difference between a Richard Hart tweet that's like, get the F out, because he's had many different protocols where he talks like that. And he's talking like that on his own protocol. So I'm giving an option. I say, nah, Maria, Hama, whatever you want to change his names and give a whole different, get people excited and get people like, try to lift him up again by changing his name. Like, yeah, that's not going to work here. Like, you showed your true colors, but you showed your true colors because of PDI, which you're apparently not a part of. So the fact that you don't know anything about it, you reacted off of a scenario. So because he reacted on that, he showed his true colors, what he's willing to do, because it is over. If PDI is over, teddy bear is over. It is that simple. There's way too much liquidity between the two. It is over. It's called a bank run. Everybody, including everybody in here, will run a bank run. So you give people, I see teddy bear, I'm all about it. You know why? Because it is an alternative. It is going to be a true community takeover if that scenario happens. So if you're betting on RH coming back and telling you, I don't know what else I got to tell you guys, this thing is a scam, it's never going to work out, it's not, there will be a bank run and Maria will react again. Maria's not going to sit here and try to fight liquidity.
You talk about actions, but
it's just not.
There's a lot of actions that happened. Was it like 2 days before, after the snapshot, that minting happened? We know that. And then there was 18 billion coins that were minted, and Richard got most of them. He was the biggest holder of
Are you talking about Maddie's PDI?
No, not Matty PDI. Original PDI. 18 million was minted. And
what if
2020
doesn't? Let's just say everyone that hates PDI is wrong. Let's just throw it out there. I'm gonna give you that opportunity. Everyone's wrong, and Richard Hart was part of it. But what happens if it just didn't work out, and it just doesn't work? And they found out it doesn't work, and he's done with it. So everything that you said before was correct, but it didn't work, and he's telling you don't buy it, like it's over, like stop. What if that's a scenario? That's a valid scenario, is it not?
That is a valid scenario, but there's another scenario where he's collateral with ETH is not going the way he wants it to go. ETH is just doing a stinker. He thought ETH was going to go up to $12,000, and it's not going to get there now. So he has to cut the amount of people that's holding.
No. If the guy's a billionaire, do you really think that's going to matter at the end of the day? He's told you it takes $10 million to 10x the price of Pulse Chain. So you're making it sound like it's so hard for Pulse Chain to move without that, when all he has to do is play with the liquidity and then pump the price up with $5 million, $10 million of assets, which that's nothing in the world of crypto, and move the price up 10x. PDI is not the only thing that could make that. It was a good speculation, but it isn't the only speculation that can make Pulse Chain move. So the idea that this is because Ethereum went down, this is his only way, no, that was never the only way. It was just a good speculation. It was a good story.
But Richard has talked about it over and over again. He wants a stable coin.
I believe he's also making his own stable coin after he said what he said. I agree with you. I do think there is a stable coin coming. I don't think PDI is it after he just ran it the way he ran it. There's a wallet coin coming off. There's a wallet also coming. His wallet was done a long time ago. We haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I know about that.
So what makes you think this stable coin might not be done on? We don't know the future, and you're betting that it is PDI, but my thing is he just supposedly we think we all think it's going to happen, but he just got basically he's going to get dismissed of the case. Do you really think he's going to go online, talk down on an asset, lose a bunch of people a bunch of money, and lie about it to start a whole nother SEC case on a scenario just like that, just to get people to dump?
Yeah, but why has it taken nearly 2 years to do that?
I believe he didn't know anything about it. He was out of Pulse Chain for nearly a year. He didn't even tweet about Pulse Chain. He was tweeting about Wall.
Hang on. Can I just put a pause on this? Because I feel like this kind of sentiment's been discussed a million times, whether we believe or we don't believe. What I'm more interested in at the moment, Moon King, I don't feel like you've elaborated on your perspective on why you think. So Maria dumping everything, you're saying, okay, well, he showed his cards. So Richard's saying it's an exploiter, it's a scammer. Maria also believes it's an exploiter, it's a scammer, takes action to save his ecosystem, but you're perceiving that in a negative way and saying, oh, he's shown his cards. What cards are these that he's shown that show him to be a bad actor?
Number one, I'm going to another blockchain. That's the first one. Okay. So in the heat of people hating on him, his response, basically, screw you guys, I'm going to another blockchain. Number two, you could have just sold Teddy Bear. Why don't you just sell your Teddy Bear? Why did you have to mint a bunch of other stuff? In real time, you're panicking. Why do you mint to sell when you could just sell your Teddy Bear? If you were a true community, why wouldn't you just sell your Teddy Bear and say, I'm out, you guys do whatever you want to do. I'm out. I'm done. I would respect that more than you minting coins and then selling it against the Teddy Bear. Complete different mindsets. What would you do? What did I do? Or what did anyone do? I'm out. I'm good. I'm done. What did he do? I'm going to mint as much as I can and get as much of this as I can get out of it. That is a mindset of someone that is not for you.
Well, you know what? You know what's kind of funny that like we're talking about this and like. And this is
it's
kind
the
of
psychology
where,
of the whole situation, basically.
Oh no. And listen, and this is kind of where I want to say that like I think everyone forgets to say that like, you know, everyone's just human and we're allowed to react to certain things, and this is how they reacted to the initial news that the system was broken, maybe without doing the research.
But right? Why mint? That is the mindset of a scammer for someone who's been in the crypto space for 13 years. Why not just sell your supply and say, I'm out. You guys can have it. If it goes down south, this is what you can do.
Well, I don't think he had any supply of Teddy Bears.
Why mint and not just sell?
I think I've already answered that question already in the stream.
No, I guess at the end of the day, it's just the risk we take.
No. Like, him. We're not talking about us and what every individual did with their own bag. It's psychology, mindset. Why would he mint in panic? He's panicking. Put yourself in this situation. I'm panicking. What do? You get all yourself out and leave. What does he do? Hits the record button, gets on, mints, and shows you he's selling and telling you he's going to another blockchain, but he's panicking. So we all agree that he's panicking. He's reacting in a bad way. We all agree to that because everyone said that on stream. I haven't heard anyone say he was calm and planning to do this the whole time. No,
he went to the sauna.
So his plan the whole time, in my opinion, is scammy actions.
No, I just think
you have to do that. You know why? Because if it was any other dev, if it was on Solana, if it was on Ethereum, you would be yelling scammer. But because you own the bag, he's not a scammer. Like, come on, man. When I see this, I'm just like, oh my goodness.
And that's kind of exactly the sentiment. Like, you know, I'll be honest, I only trust me to a certain degree now because, like, you know, sure they said a couple things, but like, yeah, I bought the lows though. Yeah,
And
hey, if I can run with the hopium, why not? Like,
you ready for this? You ready for this? We knew what he does. We know he likes to mint coins and freaking. Like, we get it. But there was a golden child in that whole scenario. And I do not believe somebody had to be getting rid of, like, we had to get rid of the top wallet holders, blah, blah, blah. I don't take that one bit. You know why? Because were those top holders selling at $120 million market cap when he was fudding it down? When he said the logo's not good enough, it's not ready, blah, 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 blah. So he has a history of fudding. Y'all want to talk about me fudding? He has a history of fudding at the tops. If I said that and did that, you guys would be putting me on a freaking plat to freaking fall into the ocean if I said and fudded Teddy Bear at the top the way he fudded Teddy Bear at the top. For some reason, he's okay to do it. He's okay to mint a bunch of product and sell it down, and it's okay for him to do it. But I'm not okay to sell and talk about a different Teddy, but he's okay to sell it down, mint it, and do that and FUD it at the top. He's God in that position. So that's why I say, man, these people are delusional.
So then let's kind of change the direction here. We know what's been done. We know the damage that's happened.
Has he
admitted
to the damage? How I don't follow him anymore. I never really did, really, to be honest with you, because I truly believe that he really did nothing for Teddy Bear at the end of the day. That's my belief. Whether you guys want to believe that or not, I don't think he was the driving force of Teddy Bear even from the beginning. So I never really followed him. My question is, because I don't know the answer to this, what is his reasoning? What is his mindset? What does he say?
Well, you know what's funny? The fact he said about the Teddy Bear thing, when I brought up Fed to him, he basically was like, because his holding, he was like, I'll do with my holding what the community wants to, was his first statement. And the second one was basically like, this could be ran how Teddy Bear was. So you're not wrong in saying that Teddy Bear was, in its way, a community movement, and that's what pushed the price more than it did. So when I brought it up that Fed was doing its type of movement as well, because when I first had brought it up, something it wasn't doing what it was a couple of days before it kind of spiked up, whatever. And then the next day I kind of came back and said, hey, listen, like, I don't know if it's going to force your hand to make a decision on it, because I know they were focused on Treasury Bill and USDT, and their stage 3 was USDC and something else. But at the end of the day, like I said, like what they say and what they speculate and what they want to do doesn't matter. But
so he has not said anything about his actions, basically.
No, completely. Kind of, you know, like I kind of elaborated on it earlier. Like he basically said that like YouTube was a toxic environment, like he'll never go on YouTube again, and you know, I kind of go back on a lot of the stuff that like this person is either doing a lot of research based off of like what reactions happen to what they do, or like I. Honestly,
you're not really answering
he
my
has
question.
said something though.
So has nobody asked him why he did what he did?
Nobody has asked him.
You don't know. He essentially wanted the front. He essentially wanted the front run the sales on what was going on.
So how, if he's front running the sales, how is he able to save Teddy Bear?
Can I just ask, what is the perspective of him destroying Teddy Bear? So what I see in this chart is this massive red candle, which is Treasury Bill being sold into Teddy Bear. He went on stream. He said he's going to protect his ecosystem and he's going to try save Teddy Bear. So I'm still not
Yeah,
I'm
it
still
makes
missing
no
the point where
sense,
he's
man.
destroyed teddy bear.
You guys aren't asking the right questions.
Well,
And
not even
you're
that. We're
giving him
waiting
a
for the right.
pass.
We're waiting for the right reaction.
No. As a dev, if you want truth, you need to demand it now and not wait while he comes up with this random story on why it made sense.
But though he did make a note to me that he's almost essentially he believes in Richard Hart's plan. So what tells me that? And listen, like I'm not saying buy, sell, buy, sell. Like we're having a conversation here.
Yeah, no, I'm not. Listen. By any means, I'm not even attacking.
Yeah. No. And they were basically like, but maybe we speculate that they're waiting on what happened next because I know they vocalized on like, and I think and you know what? I think the whole chain is literally waiting to see what happens next if this fucking person is gonna just literally drain P-Dye and like you know what I mean, right?
Yeah,
like,
listen. At
we
the
don't know
end of
what's
the
gonna
day,
happen.
so here's the thing. At the end of the day, all that's going back and forth. This is how I see it, based off of him not having an answer. The way he reacted is he doesn't even know what's going to happen, and he made the biggest mistake by pairing the P-Dye to that. So the only way that you can, with confidence, point fingers, get mad at me, or even get mad at anybody that's selling or buying and blah blah blah, or going into another teddy bear, is basically saying, "Hey, what's going?" And that's why I said when the final boss comes, it is going to be a bank run. It is very simple because I've never seen a situation like this work out in the favor of the situation. This is like a long period waiting for Richard Hart to come back. And in my opinion, when he does come back, it will be a bank run. And I do feel that Maria, because his answer is not, hey, I planned this the whole time. This is what I'm going to do. If this doesn't happen, or if this doesn't happen, the problem is P-Dye is attached to the ecosystem. That is the issue. Forget whether you like or don't like teddy bear. Forget all of that. So when you get mad at another community of people saying, all right, let's take what we worked so hard for 2 years and just put it over here. And if Maria wants to come in and do something with that new teddy bear, allow him to go do that if he wants to do that. But he has to buy in at this point in time. So the problem is the market is naturally going to pick a side. And that's why I said the market will choose, the market will win. And if you, at the end of the day, if you believe in the P-Dye situation, I don't see why you don't still believe in the teddy bear situation. To me, it's hopium, but that's your belief. If that's what you believe, that's what you believe. Like to me, it's delusional, but that's what you believe. And if that's what you believe, I can understand why you like teddy bear. But even Maria himself can't even come with a scenario on how teddy bear can win, because what he did in his reactions, I'm protecting teddy bear. There is nothing, the actions you did is not protecting teddy bear. There was nothing you did that you made it worse. It's that simple. You literally made it worse.
He gave
so how do
someone
you make it
confidence,
better? How
right? Like
do you
I'll
make
be
it better?
honest, like it was a gut punch to anyone who had invested their time or had put like their heart and soul into like.
Forget even that though. Forget even that. His mindset is scammy. I am making it better. How?
And you know what? I think that this is why when I told them like, hey, what do you want me to say? And basically they were just like, fuck everyone. I'm going to do what I'm doing. Basically at this point told me that like they're just going to keep doing what they want to do on chain. They're not going to care about certain things, but like we're also in a speculation of who the fuck knows, like, and that's at the end of the day, like really, who knows what's going to happen with anything.
So in my opinion, it can't be saved. There's nothing that can be done. I've looked at all different types of angles. The way he did was definitely not saving it, and that's when I was like, "What the hell are you doing, bro?" Like that's not the only way to save it is to remove your liquidity from P-Dye. That's it. There is no other way. You're
Now,
going to
what
be
if?
fighting a battle. You're basically fighting an exploiter for life. What
But
are you gonna do?
but so this is the thing. So now, like, what if we actually find out if said exploiter is a good actor? So that's kind of the scenario and the whole thing that a lot of people are waiting on. Like, and hey, we're having fun on stream. We're talking about the what if, right? What if so and so is a good actor, and let's not forget that, like, hey, we're all human. Maria maybe made a bad decision on doing what they did, but maybe we just overinvested in what they were doing because we had nothing else fucking better to do, because at the end of the day, like, buddy, Paul Shane is run by the degens, and we all know it. You know what I mean? So, like, we have no one to blame but ourselves for maybe propping someone else up that maybe just wanted to try a couple things out. You know what I mean, right? In a sense.
Look, to me, this really just circles back into the whole. It's the same debate playing out with the whole PDI thing. There's going to be believers and non-believers. There's going to be people looking at the actions in this way, and there's going to be people looking at the actions in that way. So, I think I'm comfortable now with understanding your perspective, Moon King, and I'm not saying I disagree with it or agree with it. I believe what I believe, and I honestly think that this is something that is a new way of doing cryptocurrency, which means it has to counter all, just like in Maria's own words, all the possible scams, rugs, and exploits that can happen. What if this is one of those scenarios playing out now, and the system that he's designed is actually learning how to counter that in the future? That's the way that I'm seeing it.
The only way to counter it is not lock the liquidity of any asset. When you don't lock the liquidity of any asset, now you're talking about trust in a trustless space. And that becomes the next issue because no one's ever going to trust you if the liquidity is not locked. Like it's very hard to, like, yeah, we trust Richard Hart, but that was a risk in the beginning, believe it or not. Like, you had to trust it. And that was risky because you didn't know if Richard Hart was going to scam you with Hex in the beginning by not locking the liquidity. Because during DeFi summer, if you were here in 2020, there were rug pulls left and right before that whole lock liquidity even became a thing. And that's why it became a thing, because people were rug pulling. So then people start burning address to a dead address. Well, that was the way. But then all these contracts and different things came out to where you can time it for a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, forever, like completely burn it. See, a lot of people don't understand the history of DeFi and how it got to be where it is today. But the difference is the only way you can stop it is by burning the liquidity, number one, because there's no more trust. But the problem is he burnt the liquidity to a product he didn't even research. So this is bad developing on his part because he didn't even research it, for one thing. And I'm not saying that's his fault because we all thought the same thing. So I'm not even trying to go, like, it is his fault, but at the same time, like, he did an action that ruined everybody later, potentially. So he didn't even research what he locked and supplied it with. And then the second thing is because of that, you don't have the ability to unlock it. So I'm not necessarily calling Maria a scammer. Now he has scam tactics. But I'm not there yet to call him a scammer. I just don't think he's he's more of a community person as you guys think he is. Because
That's
if
exactly what I'm saying.
he would have just sold his teddy bear and said, I'm gonna
he
leave
is
it to the
here.
community and it's up to you guys. You guys do your thing. But he didn't do that. He did a scammy tactic.
He's here for a goal. He's drawn himself out a plan he has for everything, and whether we pump the price up of something to make him do something sooner or later, basically he still has, in my mind, a goal. And last time I talked to him, the die numbers were something that were still in acceptable range for him. But, like, I remember I came out and I said earlier that, like, he basically said, I was like, hey, you're gonna address whatever on YouTube. He said, fuck YouTube. He goes, that's such a hateful environment, which I don't blame him. Like, who wants to go and just get fucking ripped apart the whole time? And at the end of the day, he just says, you know what, I'm just gonna keep doing what I want to do. Like, right? Like, just the job I want to do is I'm gonna do that job. And basically, I think he might have been moving away from trying to please community in a sense of like the goal was still there for what they want to do. That's why part of me tells me that like them selling and maybe going on YouTube is almost part of like an experiment in a sense to say, hey, like how are people going to react when the cards are down, right? Like that like like I don't know, man. There's not many people that do that would literally like dump on people and hop on YouTube and then just kind of listen to what other people have to say, and like you already know that's not going to be good. But regardless of the fact, I'm not defending their actions and all that stuff, but like kind of what you said, B Roots, is just like, we kind of put our faith in someone that maybe we're just here to find out some scientific things rather than get involved in the community. So when it came to something like teddy bear, it's easy to wrap like everyone around. Hey, teddy bear is like, let's not get ourselves. That's pretty fucking memeable, right? So that's something that just kind of evolved on its own. Like, so maybe we did this damage ourselves in a sense, and this person just wanted to come in and just do a couple of math equations,
But like I want to say one thing is Richard Hart is known for these big shakeouts like this, and has Maria followed suit, and also Maria is rebuilding the LP pools on T-bill with USDT.
LP LP pools with actual value or just made up
value. Yeah, it's got at the moment it's got nearly $200,000.
Speculative value is what we'll call it.
Yeah, it's not LP value. It's with pulse chain hex value. You can actually take out. If you can't, it'd be dumb to do that because you're just taking the exploiter's just taking the money. So any value is not real value because you can't even trade that for anything. So when you say that, make sure that you
and listen here, I'm not here to like shit up my own bags and say that like it's silver. This person I'm building for ourselves. Like I'm still somewhat a believer in the sense that like they are going to do what they want to do. So I mean, hey, there's money to be made at certain aspects, and like am I not going to do that? I'd be foolish not to follow those type of things, right? Like, but like, I'm also here to tell people that I think the next step of like Treasury Bill and Fed, like, I don't want the wrong narrative to be pushed for this type of thing, because the last thing we need is a witch hunt of any sort. Like, I need everyone to know that if you're investing in the Treasury Bill or the Fed, you know exactly what the fuck is going on, because I don't want you coming after me because I told you that you couldn't fucking read code, right? So I'll explain it to everyone as best as I can, and at the end of the day, like, you make your own decisions. And that's exactly why I decided to come on this space today. And obviously, this involved with something bigger. But I wanted to make sure that the narrative never got pushed that it was the wrong way to wreck anyone. Because you know what? We are at the bottom. And the last thing I want to do is just steal anyone's money when they are desperate right now.
Well, I can say this because I gotta go. Not because Sommi's coming in. He always leaves as soon as he sees my name pop up. I don't know why.
He did, to be fair, he did email me before.
Like, what the heck,
he was leave at this time, so he didn't leave it because of you. But
let me put these things.
I bring cash money in. Here you go.
I do gotta go. Because I gotta do a little Easter egg hunt or something with the kids.
Hey, Moon King, always a pleasure.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks, Moon King.
I wanted to say this real fast. A lot of people, someone asked me, did Maria stop me out? No, Maria didn't stop me out. Maria just gave me the, hey, it's over. So you stop me out when you realize at the end of the final boss. When the final boss comes and everyone has a decision, then you'll say whether it stopped me out, because either I'm going to be completely right or completely wrong. Off of that, I do think it does. This is not FUD. This is my belief, and that's why I did what I did. I do believe it's not going to end in a good way. I do believe that Richard Hart had no idea about PDI and Atropa. I do believe that Richard Hart found out late about the exploit, and I do believe as soon as he found out about it, he really said what he needed to say. Therefore, people reacted. Yes, it sounds like it's all this perfect plan, but really, when your money is invested, you're in it's like a mirage. You're willing to see the outcome that you want to see, but you're not really seeing the forest from the trees. So I do see that as being a thing. I do think that when he does come back and stream, he will absolutely shit on PDI. When he absolutely shits on PDI, I do believe Maria will do the exact same actions. I've been on stream saying this. I've tweeted this. I am, with the highest of connects that I even may have, I do believe I'm leading people into the right direction. Take that for what it is. I gotta go.
I respect that, Moon King. Thank you very much for coming on, sharing your perspective. Everything is welcome here. So,
yeah, be real. It's always a pleasure, buddy. You know, I always just stress that it's an open market for everyone. Everyone's open to their opinions. I don't want people to be spewing around hate. Don't overinvest, and just diversify your bags if you believe in multiple things, so that if something happens one way, you don't get wrecked in another way, right?
Yep. Great call, Stu. Yeah, I think it just makes sense for people to do those things based on their own needs. And one of the things that really has entered into my being with all of this is, yeah, there is a risk factor to it, but I'm investing in the idea that is the Atropa ecosystem. And it's something that I don't believe anyone truly understands. It's something that I believe even the most dedicated people are still trying to figure it out. So how can we assume and add old ways of looking at crypto into this new thing, which is doing lots of things which is completely different to the old way of crypto? So I'm willing to see it out. That's just me. I'm not going to tell anyone to buy anything or what's the best thing to buy. Everyone can do their own thing. I'm actually trying to take a policy now where I'm not even going to talk about what I hold. So that's how I'm going to be moving forward. And what I've always been with the Atropa ecosystem is I'm interested in the idea, and I'm going to continue to study that idea here. So Zombie Robot, you've joined the stage. Is there something that would you like to introduce yourself?
Hey, Steven, can you hear me?
Sure can. What's going on, man?
Oh, cool. My camera's not working for some reason, but I just wanted to hop in. I'm so disappointed that freaking B-Roots left. I really wanted to ask him, explain in detail how PDI was minted 2 days before launch by the connected wallet to what I think it's 5996, right? What's it?
So,
has he? I mean, I don't think there's no explanation for that, man.
Even this, I think we also have to take that with a grain of salt. Just FYI. So
I have an answer for that actually.
Stu, please, yeah.
Because if you actually so if you go and look up the MakerDAO stuff, and if you look up the cat contract, so they have a cat contract and a dog contract, right? Because the dog contract calls liquidations in all the vaults, and this is actually a new implementation. God damn it, an upgrade they made a while back. So they upgraded from cat to dog. So if you actually go and get the cat contract and punch it in the deployer, you will see that there is transactions from 5 years ago, and we haven't been on this chain for 5 years. So I want you to put that into perspective, that anything you see before our chain launch does not exist, and it's just an existence of that. It's a mirror transaction. All it is just like it's a fork. All it is we were just forked that information sooner than later. So anything that happened before our fork, you almost have to ignore, because there is proof of stuff that happened. Literally, like I said,
Wasn't that connected to 5996 wallet?
It's not
No.
even so much that. It's not even so much that. It's like
wasn't?
if you're talking about chain interaction that happened on the chain just before things launched, let alone that before things happened. Listen, I'm not talking about interaction with the 996. I'm just saying that, like,
Well, I'm talking.
I literally
talking about. I'm talking.
No,
about.
all I'm saying is that like because we're talking about things that launched before the chain actually became active. And I'm saying that, like, if you refer to the CAT contract, there was literally transactions that happened 5 years ago that are displayed on chain that before they launched.
That.
That snapshot happened.
5996, a 9 iron said so. What does that mean?
Yes, so
it was connected.
So the snapshot happened, and then the day after, minting happened. There's a few addresses that actually minted. I haven't seen the 5996, but 9 iron says so. Then that's good enough for me. I like to see the transaction, and then 2 days later, PDI launch, and then I believe was it in July? There was 18 billion.
That's kind of all this is kind of moot also though, because come on guys, think about it, bro. If a fucking sorry about that. If a exploiter wants to exploit the system, and you're up 20 to 30x from the lows, you're gonna do it then. Like, you just have to be completely like this thing is such a controlled psyop. It's so obvious at this point. Like, I just wanted to ask Moon King this because he's part of it, man. He's obviously he's controlled, and I mean, think about it. They get bear down, right? They get teddy bear down that he pushed up, and right while it's down at the low and starting to creep back up, what does he do? Opens up another bear so that he can get all the lemmings who are still holding on to bear possibly, and they're all like, oh no, TP Roots opened up a new bear, I'm gonna run over to that. So they sell out and they get to push bear down one more time. Now that's probably part of the plan, and he's part of it for sure, because he can't, dude. I'm so upset he left, man, because he can't answer these questions. I mean, you can't let him ramble on, because he just rambles on and provides a narrative and gives opinions. You got to call him out on his opinions, because his opinions aren't backed up by facts. They're not.
So, I just wanted to say, like, with the whole blockchain thing, I was just saying, like, there's just facts of that. There's just facts of things happening and transactions happening before the blockchain. I'm not saying that this. Listen, we are actually fully reliant on this person being a good actor or a bad actor, regardless of the evidence that's before or after chain. Like. I regardless of this guy did like this, that, like, we are 100% waiting for this person to be 50-50, good or bad. And that is literally the bottom line now, whether we want to dig up information or not, what this person did. That's almost just the easiest question to put out there, rather than just to dig up information, because we've all done the research at this point. Like, like, why exhaust everyone and say, hey, this is what so and so did. No, listen, we're all waiting right now to say good or bad. Let's stop the research game.
No, we're not all waiting, bro. We're not. Anybody who pays attention to what's gone on knows what's taking place. Like, Richard Hart years ago was talking about stable coins, and the guy is, people are like, the old narrative. I believed in the old narrative, and I was like strong maxi and like Inc. and Pulse X for like the first year of Pulse Chain, and I didn't pay attention to PDI early on. But the fact is the bags are so heavy, man. The sacrifice was so huge. PDI kind of solves that, man. You are going to have a different set of now whales to deal with for sure. But I think RH came in there and scooped up cheap PDI. So I don't think the whale problem will be as significant as it is with the main core coins. I mean, look at the liquidity. It's so low now. So big deal. They pump. Let's say they pump a 5x from here. Good luck getting out with any significant bags, right? Good luck. No.
Well, everything they exit with will just be like, as they exit, the price will just keep moving up, right? Especially if we're in the sense of
Why?
like,
If a whale moves up, wait, if a whale tries to exit on a 5x price, bro, there's no liquidity for it anymore. They would crush the price in one sale. A whale, I'm saying.
But
And we have whales, man. We have lots of whales.
when you speak to these big influencers of big accounts, they always ask these questions. I answer them, and then they haven't got an answer back, and they block me.
Yeah,
It
exactly.
always happens. It always happens because they don't have a clue. A lot of them
No, it's not.
don't
They don't have
understand
a
the
clue,
blockchain.
bro. This is like, dude. I highly am suspicious. I love watching Sommi. I watch him every day, every freaking show. But come on, guys, man. Even Sommi, man. Think about it. He gives us the narrative. He provides everything. P-Dye stupid, this, that, the other. Only thing that he even like kind of fudded me out of P-Dye early on. I remember because in the beginning he was like, "Don't do anything, just stay calm and pulse chain, stay in your cores." And now I made my own decision to listen to his advice. But in retrospect, I'm like, damn, I missed some gambling opportunities there, big time. But my point is that even Sommi, man, you're telling me you're going to work 24 hours a day for a small audience, like a niche community, where what's he at 60,000 subs or maybe 100,000, bro? Does he even run? I mean, maybe he makes a little bit of revenue, but there's probably a lot easier ways
well, dude,
to put
you know,
effort in.
This is why it's like I stress throughout the whole thing. Like, you just have to have an open mind to everything. Block out the noise. Make your own decisions, because if you make your own decisions, there's conviction behind them. Then at least you're firm in what you believe in, whether you're right or wrong. You know, you know what? I'd rather everyone go to the grave with their decisions.
Bro, I round tripped fucking P-Dye like a fool. Like, I feel stupid, but the thing is, there's a lot of people who round tripped it for a reason, and like one of my reasons was, bro, the bull market never started for the altcoins, right? So you're thinking, okay, P-Dye's kicking ass here, and if we get a bull market, this thing is going to moon. Now, in retrospect, I think it was just greed.
We've all lost, man. We've all. Yeah. It's not a matter of how much we've lost and who to point the finger at. Like, dude, I've been fucking wrecked like more times than I can count. But you know, though, it's about how you respond to it. You know what I mean, right? Like, and I don't.
Well, no,
I know I'm getting off track, but like I'm just saying that like everyone has their opinion on how they invest and stuff like that. But like, I always like, the biggest thing I encourage is just basically like, you have to do your own research so that like what you are investing in, you have conviction in, or at least if you're putting a potential in, you know that is a risk or reward. Like
listen,
the biggest problem.
You know what really wanted me to get on? You know what really made me want to get on here, actually? And I love Steve, and I think you do a great job. But when you're talking with when you're speaking with B Roots is just like, B Roots will control the freaking conversation, and Sommi does that too. It's funny, they're both experts in communication. Super, like, amazing skills they have to control the conversation. And if you, rather than just go along and say, "Oh, I agree with his opinion," or "I don't agree with," or "I don't have an opinion on his opinion," I wish, like, if you really listen to when he says something, he does not provide freaking facts. Like, everything he says is like this word freaking magic.
This is like, I stress, ignore the noise and do your own research.
Well, no, but what I'm saying is that if you call him out on it and you corner him, then he will lose his power. You cannot let him just.
Listen, you have to look at it like this, like a magician never going to reveal their tricks. This is how they make money.
Oh, but his tricks are obvious, bro. If you're paying attention.
Exactly. So listen, you know what? The best advice I gave to someone is that, like, you know, like, someone's extracting this, and we got to talk about the extractor. And I was like, by you talking about the extractor, they're extracting your time. Do not let them extract your time. They're already extracting our fucking money if that's the case. Don't let them extract your time. There's better uses for shit like that. You know? So, like, you know, like, I know we're talking about the Moon King. Listen, the Moon King's an asset. Like, ignore the Moon King. What do you believe this change is going to do? What do you believe is going to be your investment? And stick to that. And then whatever he does, It doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
I think, it's so funny because I was like, hey, we should just kick Moon King. I don't like listening to like somebody lie or manipulate people with 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 words that cannot be backed up. But on the flip side, I also understand that by him playing his role like he is, he's creating controversy. Controversy brings eyeballs. Eyeballs is really what we want. So he really is. He really, I think, he's playing his part, man. He's playing his role, 100%.
And listen, so like, and this is how I said, like, you know what, like, if you believe in bear, buy it. If you believe in teddy, buy it. You know what? If you have $100, throw 50-50 and see which one does better. And then at the end
Bro,
of the day,
wait, in the new bear? The new bear is a scam, bro.
No, but no, exactly. But like, at the end of the day, you can have a picture of when you got in and when you got out 3 years later or 3 months later, and say, "Hey, told you so." Like, you know what I mean? Like we're in such an environment of having to be like, "I told you so." Now, like, listen, everyone just has to focus on themselves and what they believe in and what they invest in. I'm telling you right now, we are in such a state right now where it's so like, if you do this, fuck you. If you do that, fuck you. Like, no.
It's
You
money,
do
bro.
what you have to
It's
do,
high
you know?
stakes. This is the highest of stakes. I have a crazy amount of money invested in this.
Exactly.
Crazy,
You know what though?
bro.
And this is why we're here to talk about, like, Treasury Bill and Fed and who's invested and stuff like that. Like, and you know what? Let's move on. Let's forget about the Moon King. Let's move on and forget about that. We're talking about Treasury Bill and Fed.
Just saying, I would get on the Moon King, and I'm telling you, you could dissect him in like a minute, bro. Like, there's so many problems with his arguments. The idea that an exploiter is going to wait until the lows to exploit. Come on, man.
But you know what? I used to be in your situation. Do yourself a favor. Don't waste your time and just focus on where your attention should be rather than where it doesn't need to be.
Yeah,
you know what I
I
mean?
don't. Yeah, honestly, I don't, man. Like, I listen to this stuff; it's fun to listen to. But like, when I see an opportunity to show somebody who is not being sincere, which Moon King, bro, he's not stupid, bro. Moon King ain't dumb. Richard Hart is no dummy. Like, he really opened, like Sommi always says. Oh yeah, Richard Hart has a major exploit, and he's going to then tweet about it and laugh about it that he looks like an idiot. Like, come on! Like, you have to be a complete sheep robot zombie to buy that shit.
But this is the thing, though. Like, don't let them extract your time. Take it in.
Well, no, I'm not, dude. I'm not concerned. I'm not even concerned about other people, but I want to see my bags grow, and the more people that start to see through this, the more that we're going to see these assets pump. They're going to pump, man.
But the thing is, listen, I'm just as passionate as you are, and I love the fucking fact that you are just as fired up about all the shit that I am. But like, I'm telling you right now, with how passionate you are, your attention is in the wrong spot. You could be making more money if you put your focuses in the right place. So stop focusing on the wrong place. Where do I put my
focus? You tell me.
I'm telling. Listen, dude, I love exactly what the fuck you're coming up with. But I'm just saying, like, stop focusing on those guys. You're just focusing on the arbitrage in the system, and you will make more money than you can imagine if you just focus on yourself and the bullshit going on around you. All right. That's it. Listen, I know we're going on about B roots and then that. Like, we don't have to. We don't need to focus on them.
Yeah.
Talking about? Go ahead. Sorry, dude.
Yeah. Let's move it on from B roots. I just want to. The reason why I brought him up and allow him to share his perspective is because it's a perspective that other people will share as well. So I want people to be able to see, and then I want people to be able to see from your perspective, zombie robot. Well, there's so many things that don't add up in what he's saying. And then people can make up their own minds. Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and call him out.
I'm not saying that you should. I love freedom of speech. Anybody should be able to write. I love that you have that on your channel. Like, that's huge. That's like the most important thing to me. And so I'm not saying that you should, like, I was saying kick him earlier, but at a certain point when he is repetitively spewing nonsense, it's like, bro, come on, man. It's like he's doing his FUD, which is fine. But all I was saying is that, like, call him out. Like, if you listen carefully to what he's saying, none of what he says makes sense. It's like Maddie with this freaking stupid PDI coin that he made. It's like, come on, like, that thing is a joke, right? And
this is the thing, dude. You know what? This is what I was trying to. You will not win against these people because this is what they want. So your best action, but hey, let them say their piece. He left.
Exactly. So that's where I wanted to leave it, and let's leave it from there now. So, yeah, I guess you're asking what can you do? Well, yeah, Stu's got some answers. So we're talking about arbitrage. That's one of the things we're talking about, and still, honestly, I can see it community wide. It's not how people are looking at anything. Actually, people are asking me, for example, like, oh, is the reserve is Fed good, or is FDIC good, or like, again, still only looking at these things as like an individual token that I want the price to go up and I want it to reach a high where I can sell out of that token and create my profit. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. You can do that. But what I'm trying to continuously emphasize is, if that is the game that you're trying to play, the Atropa ecosystem might not be the best place for that. That's all I'm trying to say continuously, that there's so much more that's happening under the hood here, and you need to think about this as a system, not as individual tokens. And so when we're talking about the Fed, when we're talking about FDIC, when we're talking about DFM, we're talking about it as a system of arbitrage, and that's how Stu's trying to look at it.
Yeah,
Talking about it as arbitrage.
Yeah, but now you're talking about becoming basically a trader. And, I really do think, like, you can trade yourself into freaking hell, man. You got illiquid coins here. You making moves, you're probably losing 1% to 1.5% to 2% if you're doing any little size at all, unless you're trading like $20. You get hit when you trade. I don't know, man. And like Sommi says, you trade out of one. You're just trading. Usually everyone does it backwards anyway. I did it backwards the other day, man. I started FOMOing into Treasury kind of early, but then the higher it went, the more I freaking FOMO'd, and I probably ended up net barely even on it. Like, that's hard to control yourself, man. Unless you're a good trader, you're just gonna bury yourself, I think. And I was disappointed because I've done well, man. I have not shifted my bags around very much. The only thing I was doing a little bit of is ratio trading some PDI and Treasury and PDI versus PWBTC for the last several months. But I don't know, man. Ratio trading, trading in itself is a tough game, bro. It really is.
It is. Yeah, it is. So if you think about it from the perspective of just waiting for an arbitrage, that's one way. Even just providing liquidity. If there's going to be arbitrage in this pool between Treasury Bill and Fed, or Fed and FDIC, maybe you could set up a liquidity position there, knowing that people are going to be minting and burning and selling. So yeah, it's not always just about buying and selling.
Just one thing, people, when B-Rich was on, he's saying that where people are just protecting their bags. Well, I'm not protecting my bags for T-bill or anything, because I didn't buy T-bill or most of my coins in this ecosystem until after the FUD. So when the FUD happened, it went all the way down. That's when I went, yeah, there's something wrong. This is not normal for Maria to do this. There's something behind it. Is it Richard, spooking him, or does he know something's happening and then he's just doing the FUD? There's a number of reasons why he done that, but I just didn't believe it. How he was coming across, it just didn't seem sincere. I just didn't believe it. So that's what I thought, and then that's when I bought in. So because I believed. So yeah, I did my research, and if you think about Marie, is very I would say autistic in a way, or some other things. Their brain is just so big that their thinking is different. And I just know that if you stick with it, you're going to win. So that's what I think anyway. And
I believe it too. Everyone here, I mean, it's so funny because I think the safer play by far is to buy the core coins, right? But I have so much freaking belief. Like at this point, I could have switched my entire bag to cores when they were at the lows. And bro, it's like 10x is a no-brainer. We're like when RH pulls whatever he is going to pull when this thing starts to move, and he will do it, I believe. You got a minimum of 10x just to get to like barely above sack price, which I don't think that's going to be that he's going to be that impressed with. So you could play it safe in the core coins, but it's like, bro, I don't even mind playing the riskier bet. I have so much belief in this thing. It's
I don't have any core coins because
I don't either, man.
Because the reason why, if PDI fails, Pulse Chain fails.
I feel like that's true. And what's so funny is I believed in the core coins early on, and the whole narrative that the big idea of RH was that he was going to be leveraged on ETH, and that when ETH goes, that's going to be the whole play. Like I was that naive that's what I thought, and that's like playing freaking checkers level with Richard Hart, man. He's smarter than that, man. He's much smarter.
Well, what people don't do is they don't look at the bigger picture. A lot of people just look at code, and you have to look at code. You have to look at blockchain. You have to look at the bigger picture. You've got to look at people's comments, the way they're saying. You've got to look back in their history. That's the number of things you have to look at.
Yeah,
to make a decision. A lot of people are not doing that. They're just following these big influencers because they said this. It's just not. I see the bigger picture, and I feel sorry for the people that are not following their own instinct.
I think that Pulse Chain is like a fringe. The whole, the majority of people are probably have some suspicion of like government in Pulse Chain. I really have that feeling that they kind of know something's going on, but I think there's a difference. There's people who know that the vast majority of things you see on the news are psyops, and that they're scripted, and that so many things in this world are fake and scripted. And then there's still a lot of people who don't get that. And those people are the same people who don't understand that this thing is completely RH is playing everybody like a fiddle right now. And that's like the trick. And what to me is what's a little crazy though, is like, he has to be so ruthless. Like he always talks about, shake out this. Well, all these people do have belief in him, all of them. So you gotta, like he literally has to murder some of his own people to achieve his objectives, I think. And that's what he's doing. I mean, he's done it so many times, it's not even funny. So.
So, does anyone else got to add? I think
I got a question. How many people on the screen here are adding to their bags right now? I know probably not. We don't have a ton of money, but I for sure as hell am.
Yeah, I've added to my T-bill.
I mean, fresh money bridging in.
Yeah. I've bridged in. So
nice.
I'm confident. I know quite a few people in the. There's a PDI freedom of speech chat. There's a lot of guys in there. It's smaller, and a lot of them have just been paid, and they're bridging in and buying more coins. So yeah, it's just they believe because they've done their own research, and it's going to be an interesting couple of weeks. I think a lot's going to happen. There's going to be a lot of. It's been a roller coaster ride. It will be. It's going to be like, people will probably lose people on the way. So it's going to be a bumpy ride. So it'll be interesting. So yeah,
it is. It has been one hell of a ride, man. Holy crap, man. Oof, brutal ride. Oh man, I've now round tripped Inc. like a fool. Like I'm. The funny thing is like how RH is like kind of going under the assumption that he wants his believers, right? The 2 round trips have now made me more of as this thing goes up, if I get another opportunity of it going up, I'm taking freaking profits. I'm not going to ride it up and down again, man. If I get that chance again, I've done it twice, man. Like massive gains.
I'm telling you right now, this is the lessons you have to learn the second run up of. So listen, you look at Pulse Chain and you think of the word pulse, look at the straight line, and as it does, like say if it were to run on a heart monitor, it goes up a bit, down a bit. So pulse chain literally speaks to its existence, exactly what it fucking does. There is lows you can buy and highs you can sell. This fucking chain is so beautiful in that sense, where it's not even just versus like a dollar value, it's versus ratio as well. You know what I mean? There is so much opportunity in this fucking chain.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, 100%. 100%.
And dude, I love your fucking my fucking mic cut out before I love your passion in this chain. I love the fact that you want to call people out. And I used to be there just saying, listen, you could do so much more with that passion in the right places.
Bro, but dude, I'm not, there's nothing for me to do. My positions have been and are like the only thing that I've done that I feel might have been a mistake, like I said, was I FOMO'd out of I was in I think it was PWBTC and DAI. Like whenever Treasury started making its move, I missed the first 2x on it, and then I started to accumulate, and I went a little crazy as it went up. I went crazier, like because I'm like a complete FOMO head. But
dude, listen,
I don't do anything, man. I do nothing.
No.
I don't trade, man.
No, listen. This is why we're here. We're talking about Treasury Bill and the Fed now. We talked about the negative shit, and now we're gonna start moving on to the positive stuff. So let's start getting fired up on the positive side of things. All right, let's move on to the hype, the good things people talk about, the good things that are coming. Like, because you know what, we've hit a low for so long that like this is now the time for everyone to actually have a little bit of hype in something. Listen, like, I've been very transparent about who I am, and so like I'm going to keep being transparent about who I am and what I do. So as we move forward and talk about the Fed and the Treasury Bill, I'm going to be very, very 100% transparent about what exactly is happening and what's going on with the Fed moving forward. So
I was thinking of actually starting up a channel, but I'm not sure if I really want to do it or not. But I was thinking in terms of wanting to debate like other chains on the qualities of their chain versus Pulse chain, and I don't know if there's a way to, you know, how to gain any traction from other chains. But the one thing I do know is that like we don't need to sell any people who are already in Pulse chain. Like they're here, they're already, like, most people are so committed, it's not even it's not even funny. So that was my thought. I'd like to somehow be able to reach these people in you know, who are in. I mean, so many people are in XRP, man, and like they don't even understand what DeFi is, man. I really, all they care about, like RH says, is number go up, right?
And it's kind of funny how theory works in that sense of, like, you know, everyone talks Hart's law, but like if you attach your coins to the right things that are going up, then you can essentially drag in value from the other chains. So like, before we get into it, there's been 2 coins that I've been able to drag up in value, and because of this coin going up, I've been actually able to sell these other coins down because they're attached to this coin, and I don't have to sell the main coin down. So I don't actually hurt what people believe in, versus I can take my value and I can actually extract my value elsewhere without hurting the charts. So essentially, I've been able to use the token, the FedEx, as a reward token for Fed, and that's attached heavily to the Uni from Ethereum and also XRP from Ethereum. So as that all gets pulled up, the price from XRP, quote unquote, and the price from Uni from Ethereum, quote unquote, get actually pulled up over the real value on Ethereum. So you could actually buy the tokens on Ethereum, bridge them over, and sell them for arbitrage. So these are the little things I actually create by doing the bigger things I build within the Fed. So I try to create as many opportunities as I can. So You talk about XRP. Listen, if the Fed goes up to fucking 1-to-1 Treasury bill, we are probably going to own fucking XRP on our chain versus fucking everywhere else.
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff that I think getting which is I feel like that's part of the reason why we're seeing funds being bridged out. Like I feel like is it possible that they're bridging out these funds so that they can at some point open up like LPs that are cross chain, or is that not possible?
The way I look at it is essentially like it's like anything. You know what? No one is going to come to save you. You have to just do your own work. So if you want them to come over here, you have to give them value. You know what I mean? Like there has to be a reason for people to come back on the chain. Like we can talk about teddy bear and bear and this and that, and at the end of the day, like, why the fuck do I want to buy bear or teddy bear? Like really, you can tell me that because it's gonna go what? So let's turn around and we can say, hey, well, why should I buy the Fed? Well, in theory, the Fed token should actually go 1-to-1 Treasury bill. So it actually has a mathematical purpose behind it. So I know we're not there. We're very far from there. But in the event that we actually get there, there's actually going to be true value in it. And you know what? Like I said, I had, Maria, James 414, and what did we say that? Like their Fed holding, they would do whatever the community wanted to do with it. They hold 25 billion of those tokens. The next holder's 10. A couple others are LP. The next one's 7.5. And, I know they brought up to say, hey, if I start pairing stuff off, majority holders are going to start selling off. Which is actually very, very true in theory, especially what's going on. Who wouldn't sell off if they were a majority holder, right? But this is the twist. What if I was majority holder and I told them I wanted to build everything and I actually wanted people to make money off of everything? What if I built a bunch of coins since day one and I haven't sold through the ups and the ups and the downs, and I've actually built a trust within the community to say, hey, I'm not selling anything I built. What if the Fed was actually built by someone who actually gave a fuck about everyone? This is where I come in. And that's where I'm going to leave it.
I can't hear Steven.
Can you please elaborate on that, Stu? How that... So when you're saying, okay, well, what if it's built by someone who gives a fuck? Well, what does that actually mean? What's the implications of that?
So essentially, when I talked to Maria, they left it at a community built. Essentially how Teddy was built. So Teddy was actually pushed by a community. This is why it did what it did. Maria has left it up to the Fed to do the exact same thing. This is why they've left the Fed holding up to discussion to do what they want to do based on how community does. They also brought up the fact that, like, hey, if I do this, this, and this, holder can dump. And I said, well, hey, what if the holder was X, X, and X, and they wouldn't dump and they actually wanted to build something? And basically that was the change in trajectory of thinking. You know what I mean? So if you actually look, a lot of charts are actually created based on of like who holds the fucking coin. Like if there is someone that holds, like this is exactly what Paul's chain built. This is why Richard Hart holds all of Paul's chain. This is why it's not dumped yet, because he still believes in the chain. You know what I mean? If he holds X amount of something, then there's still a belief behind it. You know, if Maria would truly did not give a fuck about the Fed, they would dump it. And they didn't consider it right now because it wasn't their plan. But if community pushed them to make a decision, they would be open to it. So and that stance never changed even before I came on here. So they are open to discussion with that 25 billion Fed. I'm coming on here telling you that I want to build the Fed out so that everyone here invests and actually makes fucking money, because I am sick of this fucking chain losing any fucking traction. You want me to burn a little bit of something? That's fine. But like, there's really no value in burning because it's something that's supported. At least we can change that. But listen, I have been around this fucking chain long enough to say, hey, you know what? I'm serious about everyone, my token holdings, and this and that. That, like, you know what? Enough is enough. Let's actually start to build this out, and maybe we can finally show that there's actually good actors on the chain. You know,
I think there is good actors, and you know, and I think one of the reason why the FUD was so hard by Richard and Maria is because they might want to get the bad actors out, like the big whales that are the bad actors, and they wanted to get them out of these certain coins for a reason, and that's what my opinion is, and for this chain to move forward, because there's a stable coin war that's going to be happening. It's going to happen. It's all on the news. We need a stable coin that stands out. And TDI is that coin. You've got T-bill. I don't know what they're going to do with T-bill, if they're just going to keep it at $1 or not. But they need to offer something different. And with that, it'll be the APR. So if I came from ETH and I'm a big whale, what am I getting from ETH? I'm not getting enough money. I'm not being rewarded to staying here. So I'm going to move my bags to Pulse Chain, where the APR is a lot better, and that's how you win people over. People will start coming over, and then they'll be interested in the core coins, Hex, the meme coins, T-bill, Teddy Bear, and a number of other coins that are out there. You know, that's the whole big picture. People need to realize at the moment, Pulse Chain as a whole is going down, and it's going down fast. Without something big happening, it's going to end, and Hex will go down to zero. And that's my opinion. But yeah, I think overall, I think we're on the right path. We just need to be a bit patient, and hopefully in the next couple of weeks, next couple of months, we'll see that hard work paying off.
So just on that, and I'm very glad you mentioned Hex at the same time as this thought entered into my mind. So this idea that I'd like you to dig into more, Stu, that the original holders protect the system. So it's something that you see play out in pretty much all the cryptocurrencies that are still here. The reason why Bitcoin is holding is because the top holders don't dump the shit out of it. So one of the things with Hex, for example, is I think probably building up that community of original holders. There was probably the hope that, well, these people are going to think in long term, they're going to think in the benefit of everyone, and they're going to protect the ecosystem, and they're going to uphold Hex, and they're going to uphold the ecosystem. But what their actions have shown up until this point is they don't care about the ecosystem. They're trying to bring liquidity into the system, or there's a percentage of people like this trying to bring liquidity in the system so that they can extract out of it and continue to live their expensive and completely wasteful lifestyles. And so because at the core of Hex there is this issue, then it's a big, big, big problem for all of Pulse Chain. So that's something that people want to just say, oh, let's abandon PDI and Atropa, they're all scammers. Well, let's go back into the core coins. Well, every single core coin has been extracted from after every single origin address pump. That is a massive psychological issue that we can't exactly just resolve by let's all just buying into that. Who wins? Not me. I'm getting continuously dumped on. So how can the Fed, or how can this idea of the Fed now, with these issues in the background of cryptocurrency, how can the benevolent whales that are protecting the Fed or building out the Treasury system protect it? Can it be something beyond where, okay, well, we just have to trust that Stu's never going to change his mind. We just have to trust. I mean, I do, but it should go beyond that. Is there any way that you can see that what's being built out with the Fed can actually go beyond that concept, Stu? Or is it still reliant on some kind of trust on those original holders?
Well, essentially, like when I was put in a position where this kind of landed in my lap, it was basically in my control to sell it out in the right, basically sell it out if I wanted to and, lose my position and walk away. But I didn't want that. I knew that there was actually a bigger purpose in what this was supposed to mean and how much I actually held. So, I built up the liquidities with the Fed, and then kind of before the dump, I pulled a lot of them to save the Fed, and then I put only X amount of them back that weren't going to hurt it based off of what was being sold around, like say PDI. So, I mean, listen, I'm not telling anyone to say that, like, hey, I'm not going to change course. Like, you'll always see me selling on and off the chart only because I have to move funds around. So basically, I do trade the chart, but like I also am supporting the chart. I am the liquidity also as well. So, I don't want anyone to be alarmed if I'm buying and selling, but a lot of it's also I have plans to build out the Sommi ecosystem with a lot of affection stuff that, like, say, listen, if this actually does turn out to be a big farce, well then I've done Maria a big favor by building that out. So like I actually try to turn my profits around to build out something else. So like, listen, I will go down with the sinking ship to say that I might be wrong about this, but like if I am, like, say, an inkling right about this, well then this is going to pay off, And I know I know your original question was, why should we trust you? You shouldn't. You should trust in the code. You should trust in the holdings. You should trust in how much I'm able to sell at a time and stuff like that. But like, if I'm going to tell you from a personal standpoint, I actually want to make everyone money because, like, dude, let's talk theory here. If someone makes $10 million, like, I'm getting older. I'm sick of this. I don't need a lot to get by and have a good time and just live. People think you need a lot and everything to kind of just do everything. I want to see everyone succeed. If I can do that on this chain, then that is enough for me to be happy with. And I know I've done my fucking job. That is the bottom line. I want to see everyone win. And that's exactly why I built the system I did with the FDIC tokens out. And we'll spend time talking about that in depth when I actually have a plan so that people understand what I'm talking about and they can make money off of it. But, listen, invest how you feel. Know that, like, essentially. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, that during Germany's hyperinflation, speculation became like the way to go about trying to make money. Like, people start to not respect working for a living because the fact is that your work doesn't get paid enough to even survive. So it fuels speculation. So I believe we're in that process right now of watching the dollar probably at some point it will cease to exist. So with that, like when you were talking about the reason I brought it up is you had said, I'm not interested in making a lot of money. Well, what is a lot of money these days? What will it be in 2 years from now, in 5 years from now? Well, bro, if you're thinking in dollar terms these days, you're probably going to get wrecked at some point by the dollar. Because hyperinflation happens very slowly at first, and then overnight your money's gone. And we're at the point now where people are not, earning enough to survive working a full-time job.
And I'm telling you right now, I established early on that I worked towards wanting to be free versus wanting to have a dollar value. And there's actually a difference in that understanding. And the moment you realize that there is a difference in how you look at the dollar and how you actually look at token count and how much you actually gain versus you lose, you see things in a very fucking different way. And it's almost crazy in a sense where you're blown away by like, wow, I can't believe I actually looked at it this way. So you
Let me
almost
ask
have to.
all you guys a question. If the dollar were to die, does crypto still hold value?
Absolutely, because we're not relying on the dollar. Our charts do not rely
What
on
can
the
you
dollar
buy with crypto right now?
because it's not that. If you look at rate, we rely on ratio. Like if you trade based on ratio and not dollar value, that's where you win
But wait,
in crypto.
hold on one second.
I
Yeah, go
agree
ahead.
with what you're saying, Zombie Robot. Without something to transact through into the real world, like all of this is just, it's meaningless. And my position is definitely pivoted from previously being like antagonistic against the US dollar to like we need to harmonize with the US dollar. I would rather a world where we don't overturn everything now and just say, okay, we built all this up, let's turn it all over. I mean, even this whole PDI narrative, right? It all relies on the fact that we have a stable US dollar. So I would rather a system that works with that existing system but makes it better. That's the kind of world that I prefer, not,
Well,
oh, let's overthrow. That was my
problem
previous
is
perspective.
Steve,
But
the
yeah,
problem is
go
though
on.
is the problem is that we can prefer it all we would want. The fact is that the dollar is a scam. It's a fucking
Oh,
scam.
yeah.
And so why do we want to keep a dollar? We don't. It's not honest money. Gold and silver are honest freaking money. They always will be. They always have been, and they will remain that at the end of the day. At some point, that is the final life raft. Because like you said, you can have all the crypto in the world. If you can't turn it into a real world asset, then you got nothing.
Yep. Yeah, and I think that's really that's a bigger issue than what we could possibly solve within this ecosystem. I think so. We're kind of all just relying on that continuing to exist at least for another cycle or two. Because if that all goes down and all we're left is with crypto, then this is just another Ponzi scam as well, with just lots of fake numbers that you can't even transact into anything. And then people's worst fears around crypto. I mean, that's the number one common thing that I get. Well, you've got all this thing on crypto. Can you take it out and buy a house? And it's like, well, yes, you can. You can. There's a few steps, but you can.
Yeah,
and so
yeah.
it has to. Yeah.
You
so
can do it now, but you can do that today. What happens when they print, when the next round of printing, bro? What happens if we get another inflation bout? Oh, I can't hear you, Steven.
I didn't say anything.
Oh, I saw you. You know what? I might be off on my camera. The next round of inflation. What happens if we get hit like we did 2000 to 2000 or I'm sorry, 2020 to 2025? What? I mean, bro, people can't handle another 50 to 100% loss in their purchasing power. Like something dramatic we're headed towards a serious crisis. Something that none of us can believe, I think.
Definitely. And I guess, again, it's probably outside of the scope of what we can really, what we can really address in this particular stream.
Yeah.
But I want to just kind of pull it back here to going back to the Fed. So the point that I was trying to ask Stu is and you make a good point. So it's not just about trusting you. It's not about trusting anyone. It's about what, okay. So you're saying you've built out a lot around the Fed. You're thinking of doing it with FDIC. So, for example, the Fed has nearly 100 in liquidity. I'm quite sure FedEx is yours. Is that correct?
So hold on. Before we go forward, Stephen, the only reason I bring this stuff up is regardless of whatever I say based off of whatever I do, there is still a majority holder in the whole situation, and that is Maria was 25 billion. So
of course,
that's all I kind of like my whole thing is basically saying, like, regardless of whatever I do and all that stuff, like, you also have to remember there's a risk of, like, number one holder, 25 billion can do a lot of damage to what we build. But in this case, they actually said, hey, this is open for community, so we have to hold them at face value for that. And they know, like I said, I'm top holder, and we can kind of work on that once we maybe get there. I've been talking today, that was yesterday, so you said, how can we kind of keep moving this forward, right?
Well, As in, so okay, if you're a top holder, and one of the points that you made was, well, you can't even sell enough out of there to destroy the chart. I like that point. I think there is a lot of smoke and mirrors with the Atropa ecosystem liquidity. But what else can we see from that? Like, let's say we don't know Stu. We see a top wallet holder here with 10 billion tokens. We don't know that that's you. What can we see? Oh, well, this wallet, okay, they've done this, and this, and this, and this on the blockchain. That if you put those pieces together, it's supposed to be trustless, but you look at the actions of that wallet holder, you look, oh, they've created all these tokens. It's probably not in their interest to actually dump it. It's in their interest to live off this into the future. So how is there any way that we can see on the chain or verify that actually this is something that's probably worth looking at in a different way? Does my question make sense?
Well, it's kind of hard because like you can't ever really say that like this is the biggest part about crypto is that like people always hold everything that everyone says the face value. And like, dude, and I'm telling you right now, like we're coming out of the bottom, and this is what I'm telling you. You know, so like I have nothing to benefit from everyone buying right now. Like you get what I'm saying. So
sure.
So it's kind of like people are louder at the top. People want you to sell at the top. Fuck. It's just
okay. I guess what I want to ask you is let's be more clear. So what have you built around the Fed that would convince people that you're here to protect the Fed rather than destroy the Fed?
Okay, so I actually built the reward token to actually cushion sells against it. So that was why I built FedEx, right? Why I have a majority holding. So essentially, if I wanted people to build stuff for me, I could pay them in FedEx rather than Fed. That's the reason why you build reward tokens, so you can actually protect your majority holdings of a token. This is kind of why reward tokens are made. So they kind of cushion the sell. So I tell you that I actually built a whole like system of reward tokens based off of every one of the tokens on one of those, like on the list that you proposed, from like the FDIC all the way to bar. I actually didn't do bar.
FDIC.
Yeah, I did all the way to the last one before bar. But the thing is like these tokens are meant to be minted and sold all the way down to mint price. And when I say mint price versus like, you know, how much it costs to mint, how much, you know, value may, blah, 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 blah. I'm sure you can do the math on that. But I created the rewards tokens on these to actually cushion the blow against these sales over time. Might take a little bit to get there, but like the true value is actually holding the token itself. So as you gain more of these tokens, say one day it cost, I don't know, a couple bucks a mint, because the price of Paul's chain has absolutely skyrocketed. Well, then it actually works in your favor to buy the token versus minting it, you know? So this is where the arbitrage is going to lie one day, because let's not kid ourselves, the price of Paul's chain is going to go up one day. The gas is going to absolutely skyrocket, and this is where I want the game to lie. Is people to understand that there might be arbitrage between, you know, minting from one token to the other to go from, like, say if it's say if the FDIC is 0.001 and DFM is 0.002, well, that's a 50%, or sorry, that's 100%, or sorry, that's a 2x if you sell your DFM back in the FDIC, right? So these type of theories are kind of like thing that kind of work down the line. So essentially all those tokens down the line should be the exact same price. That's the one-to-one math in it. As in theory, all those tokens should be one-to-one with Fed, because they're all minted one-to-one. But like, basically that's just not how it is based on price, right? That's only based off of the theory of the contract and minting it.
So, I understand this. So basically what you've done for all of these tokens up until Theater or Taheda, you've basically built a tax token. So for the Fed, you've built the FedEx, and then you've built around the FedEx as well. You've bonded that with a whole bunch of different other tokens. And the idea is, instead of selling down the Fed, people would sell down FedEx, or you would sell down FedEx, and then you have that same thinking behind all the different tokens. Is that correct?
Well, actually, that's kind of the beauty of it. Is that like I don't need to sell FedEx. FedEx is taxed to a bunch of the from Ethereum tokens. So like essentially, I can make my money when FedEx pumps just by selling Ethereum, or sorry, Uniswap and XRP wrapped from Ethereum into the chart, because there's actually arbitrage value in those. And there's a lot of those little things I actually put in a lot of my coins, so that when they go up, there's arbitrage in those coins without actually selling the physical charts down themselves. So I actually try to bring as many coins as I can possible over to this chain. So in the event that, say, like XRP or Uniswap like fucking run, then those coins will do really well as well. You know?
Right. Okay. So the thing that you're actually selling is the from Ethereum pair into. So again, in this one, you said uni. So this is not the forked uni. This is from Ethereum uni. And
yeah,
if that
so
ever goes up.
So I essentially built the FedEx around a lot of from pairs. Actually, I built the whole FedEx around the from pairs, the event that, say, Richard Hart brings all those from Ethereum farms back, well, then FedEx will do really well, which will drag up the Fed. So, like, I've done things to kind of protect the Fed in order to make sure that there's always arbitrage, like, opportunities that, like, I don't actually have to sell down the Fed itself, right? So, like, to put it this way, so if Atropa pumps, the Fed pumps, and it drags FedEx with it. If Richard Hart launches the exact same farms, then FedEx is going to absolutely fucking pump, because I'm pretty sure it's either one of the top holders or the top holder of, like, say, I think Uniswap from, or also wrap XRP from. But like, it's just one of the things I built up. So it's just like there's arbitrage, like, opportunities in all these things.
Wow. And so, can you just show me what was the one that you would have done for FDIC, so I can have a look at that one as well and just kind of wrap my head around it? The top one, DUF or DOTF?
Oh no. So it's only FedEx I would have run it through. So like a lot of the reward tokens I made that were attached to the whole, like, FedEx minter, as we'll call it, I basically always wanted to run independent with what I attached them to, like, specific Atropa tokens. So, like, say if, like, I think I had it, like, if one were to take off, then I would suck in all the Bullion 5, the Bullion 8, and the Zoo tokens, if that were to actually gain traction. So, like, I almost, like, built a system to suck in all the liquidity if it does well, in a sense.
Okay, so you didn't. So with you, because you said you've got FedEx, you built out FedEx. I thought you said you also made a tax token with all these down the chain.
I did. Yeah, that's, if you go through each token, you might see, so FDIC's top one might be
that's what I'm saying. Is that yours? Can you see the
deposit
screen?
I think deposit insurance fund, I think DIF.
Okay, gotcha.
So I actually, it's kind of funny. And so I made, like, playoff names off of every single one. So, like, if you go to Parade, you notice I made Saints. And Saints is actually based off of the, the Louisiana Saint, like, Parade band. And I actually asked, hey, how many members are in the band? And they gave me, I think, I don't know, X amount. So I use that as token count. So I actually based a lot of my token count off of real life information. So the SSA token, reward token, I based it off of CIHM. Can I have more? Is basically like the number of tokens is based off of how much million they spent last year giving out to Americans. So, like, all my tokens I made based off of the reward tokens actually have a meaning to the name it's rewarded off of and the number it's kind of related to. So everything actually has like a meaning to it.
Gotcha. That's cool. I didn't know any of this, and I have to say I absolutely love this concept that you've done with FedEx and how really your profit is going to come from arbitrage, like Ethereum value. That's that's awesome.
Well, think about it. Well, think about it. You can actually sell, like, so if you bought Fed, and like say like everything pumps as a Treasury Bill pumps and all that stuff. Well, then the Fed's going to get dragged up, and you can actually sell your Fed tokens in the FedEx, and the Fed's actually backed by real live world assets. That's what I wanted to make it. So like you could actually sell your FedEx tokens in the real stuff, you know, either like wrapped from this chain or like actually true value, like Bitcoin through this chain, like you know. So it's like, rather than a coin built on fake value, I tried to suck it and create it around as much real value as possible.
That's cool, man. I love that idea. That's a really, really, really cool idea. So you're building out something that's actually protecting the Fed. So you can start to see these little pieces that are going into, okay, if we want to extract or if we want to be benevolent. So yeah, that's really cool.
All right, and this is kind of the thing that I talked about Maria with, is like they were like, well, you know, whoever holds this much, they can kind of do like, you know, this. And I said, hey, that's actually me. And I said, I want to build out, and it was kind of like a change of stance after that. I told them that they're like interesting, and it was almost like, hey, you know what, like I'll do what the community wants to do when we get to certain points. So like they know how much they hold and the value of what they hold. So like how I left the conversation was basically like, you know, like I know you're emotional about shit going on, blah 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 blah, but like there's really some good actors in this space, and I'll fucking prove you wrong. So let's see how things go after the stream, if they watch it, stuff like that. Who knows if their stances change, but like as I left it, they left the Fed in the hands of the community, which I think is important. And this is exactly what happened with Teddy Bear. And B Root kind of was very open on how that exactly happened, saying like, hey, yeah, Teddy Bear essentially was ran by the community. You know, this is exactly why it failed. And why the expectations were so high, because the community made it so high. They made it so that like nothing could fail. This is the best thing that could happen here. And listen, we all fall into the trap. You know what I mean? But like, this is why it's also important to do your own research, invest in what you believe in. So you know, like when things happen and things don't happen, you can kind of react and don't react. You know. I hope I've been very clear. I'm sorry if I haven't been.
No, it's okay. It's painting a picture in my mind. So I appreciate you sharing everything about that. And I hope it's certainly also, I mean, I've been getting a lot of questions about Treasury Bill and the Fed, and, you know, people are asking for specific videos, and hopefully this has answered a lot of questions and really seeing like the intentions of some of the holders behind it, which I think is very, very important. We might just start kind of wrapping things up. It's almost, it's 3.5 hours now. I want to go have some lunch and get on with the rest of the day. So I'm just want to kind of wrap this up. And is there anything that you guys feel like we've missed out on talking, or any questions that you're getting, persistent questions that you think we should try and answer?
No, I'm quite happy. All I can say is, you know, keep positive, and you know, the next couple of weeks, couple of months are going to be quite a ride. So just make sure you don't, you know, fade, and just make sure you hold on strong, and I'm sure everything will work out the way, hopefully, we want it. So, yeah.
And Stu, anything that?
Honestly, I just wanted to say, like I said, I just wanted to make sure that people are aware of what they invest in, how much someone holds, who they're investing behind, and just basically just stuff like that. You know, like I'm not asking I'm not asking people to buy the fucking Fed, but I want people to understand that like there is a holder with if you buy X amount and you hold X amount and there's X amount ahead of you, that like the mass is there for someone to jump on you. And that's just not this token, that's any token. But you know what though? If I've been open, at least that might help the next person understand what's going on, you know?
Yeah, that's a great way to end as well, Stu, because that I feel is something that's been a big part of the Atropa ecosystem from day one, doing the research on holding patterns, doing the research on what it's connected with. So going to the blockchain, verifying on the blockchain, all of this stuff has been really important for this. The system is not designed as a put your money in and it's going to go up to a 10,000x tomorrow. It doesn't seem like it's designed for that. Yes, you can get that in certain tokens. Yes, there are opportunities that exist for that, but it's trying to expand what cryptocurrency is. If it's trying to truly create a decentralized financial system, it has to be more than what exists now, because what exists now is not enough. And I think we're all very, very much in tune with that concept. So always looking on the blockchain, holders lists, verifying contracts, like the basic research is very important for the Atropa ecosystem. Okay, all right. I might leave it at that. So thank you very much, boys. Do you want to say your goodbyes before we end the stream?
Yeah, goodbye. Thank you very much for all listening in, and hopefully it's answered some of your questions, or and just make sure you just make your own decisions and doing your own research. But no, thank you very much for hosting, Stephen, and thanks for coming on, Stu, and Sommi, and the other people as well. Yeah, it's been interesting.
Yeah. I know I talked everyone's ear off. I apologize, but like I said, always important to do your own research and you know what you're buying. So
I'm used to it. I'm married, so.
Beautiful. Thanks a lot, gentlemen. Thank you, everyone who came into the stream at some point. Thank you, everybody, for contributing. I have been keeping my eyes on the chat. It's a bit hard to keep up with all the chatter that goes on in there, but thanks, everyone, for contributing in the chat as well. So with that, everybody, take care. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.